Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Madara Uchiha makes a visit in the night and sparks Naruto's potential. Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Two figures stood in the middle of a forest clearing under the dead of night. Two blood-red eyes swirled and stared down the single crimson eye opposite them. I cannot kill my little brother. Please allow me to spare him. Why the sudden change of heart? We had a deal already. We kill the clan, I spare the village. Your eyes may be eternal and you may be immortal. But as you said before, you have yet to reach the level of the Sage of Six Paths. Without the 9 tails, even you could not defeat this entire village. Is your little brother really worth that much to you? The masked man chuckled slightly. If only I had been like you. In the end, I can only regret that Izuna's sacrifice meant nothing to the clan and to this pathetic village that our clan foolishly agreed to found with the Senju. The new deal is you spare both the village and my brother and I will take care of the rest of the clan. HMHM, ha 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 ha. Very well. So be it. What would you do after you kill the clan? Why don't you join my organization of missing nin, Akatsuki? Our goal is to create peace by capturing all of the tailed beasts. If I must. Good. Then when it's over, find the man in a Megakure who is known as a god. He possesses the Rinnegan and is Akatsuki's public leader. I'll be going now. Wait. Before you go, tell me this. Is there text on the Uchiha Underground Chamber's stone tablet that the normal Mangekyou cannot read? What does it say? Yes, but I'm afraid that's a secret. You could find out by taking your brother's eyes. Anything else? Are you going to capture the 9 tails today if this Akatsuki means to capture all the tailed beasts? I see why you would think that. But no, I will not. In the first place, the 9 tails must be captured last. And secondly, that boy is the second last Uzumaki, after all. In the event that the Rinnegan I have under my control is destroyed before I take them for myself, then he will become useful to me. Because of this, that boy must also stay alive for now, even if other half of the 9 tails chakra is guaranteed to remain when he dies. A moment later, the space around the masked man warped into a swirl and he disappeared. A young Naruto was sleeping at his apartment when he suddenly woke up to see a man in a mask with flame-like patterns and one eye hole. Suddenly there was a heavy feeling in the air, a certain deep pressure that weighed on young Naruto's whole body and mind. Who are you? What are you doing here? I am someone very powerful, Naruto-kun. Oh, how do you know my name? Because I am very powerful, of course. As if that were all the explanation needed, the man continued, do you want to be powerful too? The man walked closer to Naruto and bent down to match Naruto's eye level. From this range, Naruto could see clearly the single red eye that looked so demonic. Naruto stared at the man, unwilling to respond to this stranger. Of course you do. Then remember this, the man suddenly stopped. He disappeared and reappeared behind Naruto, whispering to Naruto's left ear, the true winner is he who looks to the future. So stay alive and grow strong, and the voice trailed off before disappearing completely, the man disappearing with it. And with that the heavy pressure disappeared too. But what replaced it was a strange vision. That red eye was staring at him. Not from the back nor from the front, but from every direction. This was what he felt. Everything became all dark, except the eye. And in this red eye, there was a circular black-colored pattern. It swirled viciously, making Naruto feel dizzy. As Naruto clutched his head, he fell back down to his bed and tried to cover his ears with a blanket. But he couldn't block out the sound, the echoing voice that continued to repeat the words of the masked man. The true winner is he who looks to the future. So stay alive and grow strong. The true winner is he who looks to the future. The true winner, future, stay alive. For a long time, Naruto would wonder if that was just a dream. But those words he would never forget. Nor would he forget that blood-red eye. Even at his young age, he recognized the wisdom hidden in those words. He recognized the power hidden behind the eye. And, most importantly, he recognized what he had to do to be strong. And so he resolved to stay alive, grow strong and win by looking to the future. Konoha, power comes in many forms. For Konoha, power often meant the strength of its bloodline techniques. Its Sharingan, its Byakugan, its wood element, and all the others of any note were certainly nothing to scoff at. What could one expect from a village founded by clans? Surprisingly, these bloodline limits were not the only power that Konoha loved and respected. No, hard work, pure genius, great knowledge, and effective teamwork were all well respected by the village hidden in the leaf. Unfortunately, none of these were available to one 12-year-old Naruto Uzumaki. But he needed power. He needed it to become strong, to gain respect from his fellow villagers. For the same reason, he also sought to become the Hokage, the most powerful ninja in the village. He was no fool, however, not so naive and gullible as his masked expressions would have you believe. He recognized the importance of secrecy in a world where knowledge of the ninja arts translated directly into power. He knew why Konoha had only a civilian library and practically no unguarded written materials on ninja arts. But Naruto was a natural strategic genius. For 12 years, he had been ignored by his villagers, gone without parental love, and was treated as an outcast by his peers' parents. It was puzzling, yet he had always wanted to attribute the blatant avoidance of the villagers to his being an orphan. Nonetheless, he found compelled to be the best that he could be, and it was with this mindset that he lived his years hidden behind a mask of foolishness in honor of the first lesson of ninja. Deceive. For years, he had searched and worked endlessly to discover how he might become strong. But, it seemed like a lost cause. Not only did Mir Academy students lack access to any sort of serious ninja training materials in the first place, Naruto was also unable to master one of the few techniques that the academy did teach. The clone jutsu. Why can't I make even a single clone? Why is this so much harder than the replacement or transformation? Vented a frustrated Naruto at his lonely apartment. Because of this one stupid technique, I've failed the final academy exam twice already. It's not even all that useful, yet to pass, we need a passing grade in knowledge studies, as well as all 3 of the basic jutsu. When he was young, Naruto was often visited by the Hokage, so often that Naruto called the aged ninja old man without consequence. He had always wondered why this was so, but still delighted in the visits. For a reason unknown to him, he had been allowed into the academy, by permission from the Hokage, a year earlier than was the norm. Of course, it wasn't so early considering the practices back during the Great Shinobi Wars that he learned about so often at the academy. And that is how, at the ripe age of 9 years old, he attempted to take the exam for the first time and failed miserably because he had neglected his academic studies in favor of perfecting the 3 basic jutsu. Of course, he would still blame the clone jutsu because in his mind, it was because he could not perfect that one that he could not focus on his academic studies. Following that, he understood the 4 requirements for graduation and sought to achieve a passing grade in all 4. Unfortunately, most of his time was wasted trying to do the clone jutsu and failed another time because his clone jutsu simply wouldn't work. So he could do nothing but to relieve his boredom and frustration by pulling pranks and attempting to outmaneuver the ninja that came after him whenever he pulled one. Of course, that's not to say he did not enjoy the pranks for their own sake, which he did immensely. Especially that transformation which he'd used on Iruka-sensei at the academy in front of all his classmates. And that is the short story of how Naruto came to be walking towards the academy for his 3rd and hopefully last genin exam. By this time, if he failed once more, then his age peers would graduate. That was unacceptable, so it was all he could do to try the exam once more at the same time as all the rest were being tested, even though he knew that he could not perform the clone jutsu yet. He would have to pay a visit to the old man if he failed again. After a written exam and performing the replacement and transformation, it came down to the final jutsu. Alright Naruto, please create 3 clones using the clone jutsu. If you can do that, then you will be able to proudly wear this headband, Iruka-sensei told him while pointing to the leaf headband he had on the desk. Both Iruka-sensei and Mizuki-sensei watched him intently as he began the head seals. I'll definitely do it this time. Believe it. His chakra surged as 3 puffs of smoke materialized and out emerged. 2 clones on the floor looking gagged and 1 clone on its knees holding its stomach as if in immense pain. I'm sorry Naruto, but you fail, stated Iruka-sensei. Oh come on Iruka, you know how hard he's been working for this and it's only one technique. Is it really so bad to let him pass? Mizuki-sensei asked in sympathy for the blonde. Rules are rules. Better luck next time Naruto. Keep working. You'll get it someday. Yeah was the reply. Looking dejected, he dragged himself out of the examination room and slowly headed for the swings on the playground. Both Iruka and Mizuki watched him for a while before calling in the next examinee. As he swung by himself on the swing, Naruto felt tears welling up but suppressed them. He could see them all, pointing and staring, everybody who'd realized he failed the exam for a 3rd time. It just wasn't fair that a great mind like his was not allowed to continue because of one simple jutsu that he could not perform. Of course, he knew that the problem lay with chakra control. The real question was, why did he not have the control? He was perfectly capable of sticking the leaf to his forehead as his teachers instructed, yet he failed the clone jutsu time and time again. Sure, he'd seen some progress, but it was so tiny it might as well take another 5 years before he'd get it down. It was mind-boggling to him because everybody else's progress was fine and he was the sole exception. He did not have access to more advanced texts that could explain it, nor did his teachers have any idea of what could be causing the problem. But he couldn't let himself give up. He would find some other way. He had to. It was time to see the old man and complain. Just as he stood up, he finally noticed that Mizuki-sensei was quickly approaching him. Hey Naruto, don't feel so down, you know how Iruka is like. Such a stickler for the rules. Immediately, Naruto became somewhat suspicious. Mizuki-sensei had never been this kind before. Continuing, Mizuki-sensei said, "You know, there's another way to become a genin. You have to show that you can complete a mission like a real genin would by stealing a certain scroll, then learning one technique from it. If you can do that, then you would pass. Do you want to give it a try?" "Another way? How come nobody ever told me?" Naruto complained in a whiny voice. "Well, Iruka wanted you to master the basics first because ninja life is dangerous after all. So, do you want to get the instructions?" Naruto's mind was racing. There was definitely something going on. While it was possible that a secret way existed, it was not likely. Then there was the fact that Mizuki-sensei had never seemed so nice before. He decided that only two possibilities existed. Either the old man pulled some strings because he'd always seemed to favor Naruto, or Mizuki-sensei was lying. But either way, he'd probably gain from this. If Mizuki was lying, then he must have some objective. Naruto couldn't see how this could be useful to Mizuki unless Mizuki wanted whatever scroll Naruto was supposed to steal. That meant it would be something valuable, and he did say that there would be techniques on it for Naruto to learn. And even if Naruto got into trouble, he could blame Mizuki and none would be the wiser considering the full persona he'd built up over the years. "Okay, I'll do it. Believe it." Konoha, Hokage Tower. Naruto walked briskly through to the old man's office. "Hey old man. Still working on the never-ending paperwork?" "Hello Naruto, how did your exam go?" Hiruzen Sarutobi asked while smiling lightly. The aged Hokage had grew fond of the boy over the years. Of course, it was his responsibility to care for the boy, but he also felt much personal attachment to him. At the question, Naruto's face took on a sullen look. "I still can't do the clone jutsu. I failed." At once, the third Hokage understood. It must have been awfully depressing for the young boy to fail yet again. Yet, there was not much that could be done for him unless a Jounin sensei personally took interest. It had happened in the previous year with a boy named Rock Lee, who was simply unable to perform any ninjutsu or genjutsu. The only Jounin sensei that would be willing to take a personal interest in Naruto would be one Hada Kakashi, a student of the famed 4th Hokage, who was a student of the gallant Jiraiya of the Sannin, who was in turn a student of the 3rd. Unfortunately, due to the incident with the Uchiha clan, there was a great deal of pressure on the copy ninja, as he was often called, to teach the last remaining Uchiha clan member the ways of the Sharingan. There would be complaints from the Council of Fire if he took a personal interest in somebody other than Sasuke Uchiha. And again, the aged Hokage cared too much for Naruto to just let him fail once more. He silently resolved to have Kakashi teach the boy anyway. "I'm sorry to hear that, Naruto. Have you made any progress on the technique since last time?" "Yeah, but it's practically nothing. I can even do the leaf chakra exercise now, but I just can't get this." "Why is that?" "Nobody else has this problem." A third thought for a moment. If the leaf chakra exercise was not helping, then other chakra exercises were not likely to help a significant deal either. He could not think of a way for him to master it other than more hard work. On the other hand, if everything worked out, it wouldn't matter because he'd make sure Naruto becomes a genin. Perhaps he could do something else for him. "If the leaf exercise is not helping, I don't really know what else could help you. You'll just have to keep working at it. In the meantime, let me show you a D-rank technique." The third went on to show the single hand seal for the body flicker jutsu and explained how to perform it. Naruto was quite surprised by this act but accepted it with glee. "That's awesome. I'll have this mastered by the end of the week." And he started to try the technique himself. Unfortunately, he proceeded to nearly slam into the third's desk but was stopped by the third. "I look forward to it, Naruto." Naruto grinned sheepishly before exiting the room. It was time to steal the scroll. He went to the stairwell before transforming himself to be an Anbu. He was familiar with the importance of disguise and knew readily that his usual everyday full orange jumpsuit would not be suitable for infiltration. The wonder of the orange jumpsuit was that it fit in with his image and would throw suspicion off him. The reality of the ninja world was this. In a battle, whether or not clothing was flashy hardly mattered. It mattered only when one needed to hide and remain undetected. In such instances, performing a transformation was child's play anyway, so it made all the more sense for him to wear flashy clothing so that he could transform and have a contrast between his transformation and his normal look. Besides, it was far too difficult to hide his blonde hair normally anyway, so what was the point of wearing dark clothes at all? He then quickly located the room where the scroll that Mizuki instructed him to steal was located. He was able to easily escape notice due to his experience in dealing with Konoha security for his pranks. He knew everything there was to know about the guards in the Hokage tower and the manner in which security ninja reacted. He grabbed the scroll and hightailed out of the tower and headed for the forest on the outskirts of Konoha. He stopped at a random clearing. Jumping down from the trees, he sat down and held the scroll in anticipation. He knew what this scroll was the moment he set his eyes on it. Actually, how could he not when it was clearly written on the scroll? This was the forbidden scroll, so it was clear that Mizuki was a traitor. But rather than dwelling on that, it was time to learn and copy. He had little time to waste, since the village would be on high alert within the next couple of hours. And if not, surely Mizuki would alert the village to put the blame on Naruto. He unfurled the scroll. His eyes skimmed over the text until it reached the first technique listed. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu. It required a unique cross-shaped hand seal and would produce large quantities of solid clones. For the briefest of moments, Naruto wondered if this technique was right for him. After all, if he couldn't produce a normal clone, how could he produce a solid clone? Then he realized that the jutsu was forbidden because it required too much chakra and probably didn't need much control. He continued reading. There was a brief description of the Shadow Clone Jutsu as well, the B-ranked version of this forbidden A-rank jutsu. As he continued, his fingers trembled as they ran over the text, letting the words sink in slowly. And in habit, his hands reached up to the goggles that he'd always worn over messy blonde hair, goggles which were a substitute for the leaf headband that he would one day wear. He knew that it was a risk to attempt the technique, but he had a feeling in his gut that he would be okay. 2 hours later, exhausted but happy, he closed his eyes and rested against the trunk of a tree, his lips slowly shifted to that of a smile with genuine contentedness, not felt for what seemed like millennia. Perhaps, he had finally found his answer. It was funny that after years of trying to access even the least restricted of scrolls, he would find his answer here, in the most restricted place of all. The Forbidden Scroll. The technique was wonderful. It had far exceeded his expectations. There was simply so much versatility in this technique that he had no doubt it was by far the best tool in his arsenal at the moment. While there were drawbacks such as equal splitting of chakra, the benefit of clone memory retention was simply too incredible. He could think of all sorts of ways to use it. Ha 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 ha. I almost can't believe I managed to learn this. And now I know why I can't do the clone jutsu too. Only because I have too much chakra. He said to himself. The rest of the Forbidden Scroll was mostly based on powerful sealing techniques. There were a few of note, but almost every other jutsu listed had such high prices to be paid that they were not worth learning, and many did not have significant applications in usual ninja life. One interesting jutsu, apparently the second Hokage's jutsu, was called Impure World Resurrection, but it required live, prepared, human sacrifices. Compared to such techniques, the price of expending nearly all your chakra the way Mass Shadow Clone did was tiny. A few minutes later, he stood up again. About time somebody found me. Suddenly Iruka jumped down from the trees and confronted Naruto. What are you doing with the Forbidden Scroll, Naruto? Hey, Iruka-sensei. I've mastered a jutsu from the scroll, just like Mizuki-sensei said. Now I can become Genin, right? Naruto felt a strange amusement upon seeing the shocked look on Iruka's face. He had probably never guessed that Mizuki was a traitor. Mizuki? Why would he? The large shuriken flew out from the left. Mizuki followed right after. Give me the scroll, Naruto. Huh? What's going on? Naruto asked, pretending to be confused. No, Naruto. Don't give it to him. Take the scroll back to Hokage-sama. Shut up, Iruka. Give me the scroll, Naruto. Iruka doesn't care about you. Do you know why? He hates you because of what's inside you. You know it's forbidden to speak of that, Mizuki. It's because you're a demon. You are the nine-tailed fox. That's why everybody in this village hates you. What? What are you talking about? Could it be true? Why would Mizuki think him to be the fox? The information was as shocking as it was enlightening. So the way that everybody looked at him and ignored him was not just because he was an orphan after all. What the textbooks say is a lie. 12 years ago, the fourth Hokage didn't kill the nine tails, he sealed it inside you. That's why you will always be hated in this village. Now hand over the scroll. Naruto tried to turn and run. Then Mizuki hauled out another giant shuriken and flung it at Naruto. Just as Naruto prepared a replacement jutsu, something intercepted the shuriken. His eyes widened in shock. It was Iruka-sensei. He had taken the shot to protect Naruto. And Naruto. Don't listen to him, take the scroll back to Hokage-sama. Shocked by Iruka's self-sacrifice, Naruto was unable to respond. The same could not be said of Mizuki, however. Don't listen to Iruka. He hates you too, more than anybody else. You killed both of his parents and left him an orphan. Naruto's eyes widened further in shock. He had never realized that Iruka was an orphan and whose parents were killed by the fox too. Did Iruka hate him too? He decided to run again. Behind him, he heard Mizuki call out, "Why? Why are you protecting him, Iruka? The demon killed your parents. Demons will just trick you and destroy everything. They don't deserve help." Naruto decided now to stick around and hear the rest of the conversation. He hid behind a tree and performed a non-essential academy jutsu. The cloak of invisibility to blend in with the tree. Yeah, you're right, a demon would do that. But Naruto's no demon. He's a good kid with a good heart and he'll be Hokage someday. That's why I'll protect him. Hearing those words, Naruto felt good. He never realized that Iruka-sensei cared so much. Perhaps there was hope for him yet. Even if the Nine Tails really was sealed in him, if Iruka-sensei could see him as Naruto Uzumaki, then surely Naruto would be able to convince everybody else too. Enough. I'll kill you first, and then I'll kill the demon before being praised for ridding this village of the demon and its compatriot. Mizuki took out a kunai and charged at Iruka, who still had the giant shuriken stuck in his back and who was unable to move well. Damn. I can't make it in time. What can I? Suddenly he dispelled his cloak of invisibility jutsu and put his hands together in the ram seal and looked at a tree on the opposite side of the clearing. A moment later, Iruka watched as suddenly Mizuki disappeared and slammed into the tree Naruto was looking at earlier, while Naruto appeared in front of Iruka with his back to him. Briefly, Iruka wondered if Naruto had them both under a Jinjutsu the whole time, and Mizuki unwittingly ran into a tree as a result. What the hell? How did I get over here? Mizuki asked out loud as he got up again. You tried to hurt Iruka-sensei. I'll beat the crap out of you with my new jutsu. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu. And suddenly a massive smoke enveloped the forest clearing. Dissipating, it revealed what appeared to be an endless army of clones. Both onlookers held an expression of surprise, with Mizuki cowering slightly in fear. He was stronger than your average Chunin, but he'd never had to fight an army before. Of course, he had little time to react before the Naruto and the clones all charged and attacked him. I'm so proud of you, Naruto. Hey, close your eyes for a moment. Iruka said once the battle was over and Mizuki lay unconscious on the ground. Feeling proud of himself as well and having no reason to distrust Iruka now, Naruto obliged. Then he heard the rustling of cloth before feeling Iruka removing his goggles and replacing them with a Konoha headband. Congratulations, Naruto. You're a real ninja now. Naruto felt tears well up for the second time that day. And unlike before, he did not suppress them. Instead, he sniffed while exclaiming, "Oh yeah. I did it. This is awesome, I really passed. Thank you so much, Iruka-sensei." A light chuckle escaped Iruka's mouth as Naruto proceeded to hug him. He ruffled Naruto's hair and said, "How about I treat you to some ramen after I get this shuriken out of my back, okay? Ramen? Yeah." Konoha, hospital. The two had a discussion with the third Hokage while Iruka was being treated by Medic Nin. "I'm very proud of you too, Naruto. To think that you mastered an A-rank jutsu in under 2 hours. Most impressive. Don't worry, I won't blame you for listening to your superior about the scroll. In fact, I'll have this recorded as your first B-rank mission and pay accordingly." "Wow, really? That's awesome, old man. You want to join us for ramen later tonight?" "I'm afraid not today, Naruto. Much work is to be done, especially regarding today's events. Maybe next time," the aged ninja said while smiling. It turned out that he would not have to get Kakashi to take a personal interest in the boy after all. The boy was quite surprising sometimes, and this was definitely one of those moments. Konoha, Ichiraku ramen stand. It'll only get tougher from here on out, Naruto. Ninja life is tough after all. Think you're ready for it? Of course I am. I'm one step closer to being Hokage. Believe it. Silently he mused that it would probably actually get easier from here now that he had access to shadow clones. He had never found anything of the ninja arts difficult aside from the one clone jutsu. And now that would no longer be a problem for him. By the way, Naruto, what exactly did you do back there before you used your shadow clones? Huh? What do you mean? It was Jinjutsu, right? When Mizuki was charging at me and the next moment he charged into a tree in the opposite direction. When did you learn how to do that? Oh. Iruka thought it was Jinjutsu. Now there was an interesting thought. It wasn't Jinjutsu at all, in fact. He had merely thought of the physics of the replacement jutsu and figured that the momentum of the objects being replaced might also carry over to the other object after the replacement. This was because, at a fundamental level, the body flicker was not space-time ninjutsu, but was rather high-speed movement in one direction, accomplished through enhancing the body with chakra. It turns out he was right. Although, even if that didn't happen, he was mere intending on using the replacement jutsu to move Mizuki so that he wouldn't be able to hit Iruka. But there now existed many interesting ways to apply this new knowledge, and even more if it seemed like a Jinjutsu to Iruka. He supposed that it would certainly seem that way because the Konoha body flicker uses leaves as part of the effect rather than smoke. As a result, it had many similarities with Jinjutsu that used leaves to obscure the victim's view before subjecting them to the illusion. So when Iruka saw Mizuki and Naruto appear in new positions suddenly with a whirlwind of leaves, he must have automatically thought Jinjutsu. In fact, if Iruka thought so, then it would be all the more true for the victim Mizuki. Perhaps he would call his new technique the false position jutsu. That was to continue the tradition with having false in the name of Jinjutsu techniques in order to confuse others trying to discover the secret to his technique. Though it probably wouldn't work on higher level ninja who can feel themselves being pulled by the replacement jutsu. Oh that. Well, a ninja never reveals all his secrets. Oh, you can tell me, Naruto, I'm really curious. Nope, no way. I'm just following your lessons, Iruka-sensei. See, I do pay attention. Haha, alright, I suppose I should be glad that you're taking your lessons to heart. Before he went to sleep that day, he made multiple shadow clones to see if they would stay active when he himself went to sleep. If they did, then they would go out and practice to perfect the body flicker before doing the leaf exercise again. Theoretically, even if he were to improve at the ridiculously slow rate he'd been at for the last couple of years, he would still eventually master the clone jutsu given enough time and shadow clone training. That kind of chakra control would be useful. And thus ended Naruto's last day as an academy student. Konoha, Hokage Monument. It had been 2 days since the incident with the Forbidden Scroll, and tomorrow was the day that the academy graduates would get their assigned teams. Naruto was lying on the ground on top of the Hokage Monument, on the fourth's head. He relaxed while observing the clouds and thinking about all the progress he'd made in the past 2 days. With the addition of merely 2 jutsu, Naruto felt as though he were hundreds of times stronger than before. It was really the shadow clone that made him feel this way. The versatility of the shadow clone was incredible. Its usefulness extended into all areas. Training, labor, fighting, and lots more. The ability to consolidate memories en masse after a training session with many clones exponentially increased his total effective training time. With his massive chakra reserves, he could produce 100 clones without endangering himself in any way, but he would be in danger if he made any more. What's more, the clone stayed active even while he slept. As a result, he was now able to exploit previously inaccessible time during sleep. At the moment, he was using a few clones to read books at the civilian library, just in case he ever found anything remotely useful. The rest of his clones were all doing the leaf chakra exercise, and he had already seen substantial improvement in his control. This was obvious because he realized that the same number of clones that he produced the first day did not deplete as much of his chakra on the second day. A multitude of plans for the shadow clone jutsu existed in his mind, but for now he would just head to the old man's and show him his perfected body flicker. Konoha, Hokage's office. Hey old man. I finished the jutsu you gave me. Hello Naruto, you have mastered the body flicker. Yep. Want to see? Let me show you. Putting his hands together in the ram seal, Naruto disappeared in a whirlwind of leaves and reappeared on top of the desk in front of the old man. If he was surprised, the old man's face did not show it, though a slight smile was visible. My, you learned that one real fast. But you'll have to keep working hard if you want to become Hokage. Jumping off the desk, Naruto proceeded to yell out, "Sexy jutsu." Instantly the aged ninja known as the professor fell backwards with blood leaking from his nose. "Ha! If I can defeat that easily already, I'll take your hat in no time," declared Naruto. While the Hokage chuckled as he got up again, the door suddenly busted open and a boy with a scarf barged in. "Alright, I'm going to defeat you now and become Hokage." Then the boy tripped onto the ground face first. Oomph. Both Naruto and the old man's sweat dropped at the display. "Maybe you should watch where you're going first," deadpanned Naruto. "Arg. You tripped me. I'll kick your butt." "What? No, you just tripped yourself. Don't blame me." Ignoring Naruto's protest, the boy launched himself at Naruto. "Hey. Cut it out you brat." Naruto then grabbed the boy's collar, raised his other hand in a fist as if to hit him. Suddenly a man dressed in black with black sunglasses was at the door. "You there. Stop at once. Don't you know who that is? That's the honorable grandson of Hokage-sama." Naruto looked at the boy in front of him. He couldn't see much of a resemblance, but maybe that was just because the old man was old. Then the boy scoffed, "Heh, scared to hit me now? I don't care if the old man's your grandmother. Don't go blaming me and attacking me when it's your own fault." The boy suddenly met Naruto's fist and flew back. "Ugh," he boy uttered, trying to get up. The man at the door rushed to the boy's side. "How dare you strike the honorable grandson?" Unfortunately for him, Naruto was already out the door. Then the boy was also out the door. "Wait. Honorable grandson, where are you going?" As soon as Naruto stepped out of the Hokage tower, he heard loud footsteps ringing behind him. "That kid. He's following me." Then he smirked before disappearing in a whirlwind of leaves. "Got to love body flicker." Konoha, near Hokage Monument. Naruto walked along a grassy plain near the Hokage Monument. Then he noticed that somebody was lying on the grass. He walked over. "Hey Shikamaru, what are you doing over here?" Naruto greeted his classmate. He could also call him a friend, he supposed. Naruto, Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba had often gotten into trouble together in the academy for ditching class. He had never been treated badly when he was with them. "Huh? Oh, hey Naruto. You didn't answer my question." A sigh. "Relaxing before I can't anymore." Then the boy known as Shikamaru noticed the headband on Naruto's forehead. "Hey, where'd you get the headband, Naruto?" "Oh this?" Naruto looked up and pointed at his leaf headband. Then he grinned at Shikamaru before saying, "Iruka-sensei gave me a makeup test and I passed. Now I'm a genin just like you." A troublesome but inside, Shikamaru was intrigued. He had never heard of makeup tests for the Genin exam before. There was always something odd about Naruto. He was probably hiding something. It didn't really concern Shikamaru though, so he didn't ask anymore. Naruto walked over to Shikamaru before asking, "Hey, why did you want to become a ninja, Shikamaru?" I didn't. Oh. That sounds just like you. Why do you ask?" Ignoring his question, Naruto continued, "But me, I had always wanted to gain respect. And now? I don't really know. I'm still searching for an answer, I suppose." A classic trust-increasing tactic. Reveal something about yourself first, and the other would feel much more open. Naruto had noticed long ago that Shikamaru was intelligent, perhaps even more so than himself. But he had always been too lazy to do anything. But the more intelligent somebody was, the greater the likelihood of being open-minded as well. Out of all the academy graduates, Shikamaru Nara had perhaps the greatest potential to be helpful to Naruto, and also the greatest potential to be a strong ninja. Other than Naruto himself of course. Naruto decided to take a big step forward on that day. If there was any hope for Naruto to become respected as a ninja rather than the Nine Tails container, it would start with a new generation, and especially those who are intelligent enough to recognize the difference between a seal and the sealed. "You're my friend, right, Shikamaru?" "Huh? Yeah, I guess." Naruto stared at Shikamaru intensely. "I'm going to tell you something. It's an S-rank secret about me punishable by death if revealed by anyone other than me." "That sounds troublesome. The nine-tailed fox is alive. The fourth Hokage didn't kill it, it was sealed into a newborn baby." "Me?" Shikamaru's eyes widened in surprise. He had never expected anything like that. But it didn't seem like Naruto was lying. No, it couldn't be a prank. Naruto was serious. He briefly wondered why the blonde chose to confide in him. Is that why you pulled all those pranks? To get attention because nobody wanted anything to do with you?" The pained expression Naruto's face told the tale. "I told you about this because I know you're smart. Maybe you've even figured it out before, I don't know. But, would you still be my friend?" A moment's hesitation. But that was all. Naruto was right after all. Shikamaru was smart enough to know that Naruto was just a container for the Nine Tails and ought to have been praised as a hero. Yeah, I will," he stated firmly. Naruto had a wide grin on his face. "I'm glad. Want to play shogi sometime?" "Shogi? I didn't know you played." "I don't. You'll have to teach me." Troublesome. Konoha, forest clearing on the outskirts. Naruto was back at the forest clearing where he defeated Mizuki. This spot had become a favorite of his. There were good memories made here. Whenever he felt happy, he would either come here or go on top head of the fourth Hokage on the monument. Now, he was happy because he'd managed to gain a truly valuable ally. He wouldn't have to keep up his mask with Shikamaru either. As soon as he gets the chance, he'd find some way to help Shikamaru to strengthen their bond. "Aha! I finally found you. Teach me that jutsu you used to defeat the old man." "Huh? Oh, it's you. Why the hell should I? Please. Why do you want to defeat him so bad anyway?" Because I want to be respected." Respected? That sounded awfully like what Naruto had wanted before he realized that he was the container of the Nine Tails and that he would need respect before anybody would let him become Hokage. "Yeah. Everybody calls me honorable grandson. It might sound stupid to you because it looks like everyone respects me, but nobody does it because they respect me. They respect the old man, but not me. Nobody's ever called me by my name, Konohamaru." "It doesn't sound stupid to me, Konohamaru. But I don't think you're going about it the right way. Just because you can defeat the old man with my trick doesn't mean you deserve the title of being Hokage." "What do you mean?" "If you want to become Hokage, you have to be truly strong. He's the strongest ninja in the village after all. And to do that, you have to work hard at it and never give up. One jutsu won't cut it if you really want to be Hokage. It's not the Hokage you have to beat, Konohamaru. It's the bad guys that want to hurt our village." "I never thought about it like that. If you work hard and get strong, people will respect you anyway. But if you want, I can still teach you my jutsu." "Really, boss? That's awesome." "Yeah, watch this. Sexy jutsu." A naked blonde girl covered by only lines of clouds now replaced Naruto. A puff of smoke. Naruto reappeared. "Whoa. Okay, then, here's how to do it. What have you been teaching the honorable grandson, you punk?" "He's been teaching me a lot more than you ever have. That stuff he taught you is vulgar and stupid. You can never use it in battle." "Sexy jutsu?" Konohamaru shouted while transforming into a naked girl. That won't work on a respectable ninja like me." The special trainer known as Ibisu claimed while walking closer and holding his nose if as trying to stop a nosebleed. "Why isn't it working, boss?" Perhaps he would have to take it up another notch. He couldn't disappoint his new little minion, after all. "Alright, watch how it's done. Mass shadow clone jutsu." And then collective clones yelled, "Sexy jutsu." And suddenly the forest was covered in naked blonde girls that started latching onto Ibisu. IHHHH. Ibisu yelled as he skyrocketed backwards with a gigantic nosebleed trailing. Ha! That'll teach him. Wow, that was awesome boss. I call it the harem jutsu. Konoha, Naruto's apartment. There was something bugging him about what happened earlier with the harem jutsu. But somehow, Naruto just couldn't put his finger on it. It felt important. It felt like something crucial that he was missing but would surely be able to use. But, alas, nothing could be done. His clones had done a great deal of training that day and would continue to improve his chakra control overnight. A lot of progress was being made. At the library, not so much. On the other hand, one of his clones did come upon an interesting book. It wasn't particularly helpful, but it was interesting nonetheless. While searching for anything ninja related, he'd found a fictional book called Tale of the Gutsy Ninja. It was inspiring. A great read. It seemed like the kind of ninja that Naruto would want to be one day. But what really caught his eye were two things. 1. The book was written by the Toad Sage Jiraiya of the Sannin. He had never known that the man had written anything other than erotica. And 2. The main character of the book was named Naruto. What a coincidence. It was definitely his favorite book so far. This wasn't available at any of the bookstores in Konoha, so he'd have to lose the book and pay the library a fine. As he slept that night, he dreamed of a moon with a strange pattern of concentric circles and many Tomo. Konoha, Ninja Academy. Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno watched as Naruto set up a trap at the door to the classroom. The three had waited over 2 hours for the arrival of their new Jounin sensei, Kakashi Haddock. When Naruto had come to the meeting for the graduates that day, there was some surprise among the class. He had decided to sit down beside Sasuke Uchiha, the last member of the Uchiha clan, and one who rarely spoke. Then usual shouting match over who would get to sit beside Sasuke ensued between Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka, two girls that were infatuated with their class's #1 rookie. Unfortunately for Naruto, he also happened to have a crush on Sakura Haruno, so it was much to his dismay when she ordered him to move so that she could take the spot. What followed was a rather embarrassing incident with Sasuke that he would never speak of again. "Naruto, you idiot. You'll get us into trouble." The pink-haired girl who wore a full-length red cheongsam scolded. "Oh come on. He deserves it for being so late." Meanwhile, the black-haired boy who wore a blue shirt and black shorts said nothing. Naruto walked back towards a chair and sat down, waiting once again. A few moments later, a silver-haired ninja with his headband covering his left eye walked in while reading an orange book. If he noticed the trap, he didn't show it at all. An eraser fell on his head and he looked up from his book. "My first impression is I hate you all. Meet me on the roof in 2 minutes." The Jounin stated with a cheery expression. Or at least as cheery as he could be made out to be with a full mask covering the bottom portion of his face. Sakura Haruno gulped, fearing that her new sensei would them badly. Sasuke Uchiha was surprised that the Jounin did not notice the trap but got up anyways to go to the roof. Naruto Uzumaki ran out the room to head to the roof. He was anxious to see whether the sensei would treat him properly. He had read about the exploits of Sharingan Kakashi, the man who was rumored to have mastered over 1,000 jutsu. He was the genius who made Chunin at 6 years old, Jounin at 13 years old, and who trained under the legendary 4th Hokage. "Why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell me your name, your likes and dislikes, your hobbies, and your dreams." "Let's start with you, Pinky," said the Jounin while keeping his eyes on his book. Sensei, can you give us an example?" "Oh me? My name is Kakashi Haddock. What I like I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future never really thought about that. As for my hobbies, well, I have a lot of hobbies." The three students all sweat dropped. Naruto decided to introduce himself. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like Sakura-chan, training, and ramen. I hate the 3 minutes it takes for ramen to cook. My hobbies are training and eating ramen. My dream is to be the greatest Hokage ever." He stood up and pumped his fist into the air at the end of his little speech. The Jounin quirked his only visible eyebrow. His thought was that the blonde had developed in an interesting manner. "My name is Sakura Haruno. I like Hiyama, I hate Naruto. My hobby." Sakura giggled out while Kakashi sweat dropped, Naruto cringed, and Sasuke's face held an expression of annoyance. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I like nothing. I dislike many things. My hobby is to train. As for my dream, I wouldn't call it a dream. It's more of an ambition. I will revive my clan and kill a certain man," Sasuke stated in an eerily creepy voice. While Sakura had stars in her eyes, Naruto sweat dropped, and Kakashi sighed. "Well then, we will have a survival training session tomorrow." "Survival training? What kind, sensei?" Sakura asked. "It is a test to determine whether you can become a genin." What? But we already graduated." "What the hell?" Naruto exclaimed. "That was only to weed out those who had no chance of becoming ninja. The real test has a 66% failure rate and it's administered by your Jounin sensei, which in this case, is me. Meet me at training ground 3 tomorrow at 7 o'clock." He turned and started to leave. Oh, before I forget, don't eat breakfast tomorrow, you'll just throw it up. Then he body flickered out of there. Oh man, we just graduated and now there's another test. That's so unfair. Naruto complained. Sakura then tried to ask Sasuke out, was refused, and the three parted ways. Konoha, Training Ground 3. Naruto walked around the training ground, memorizing the layout. It was always a good idea to be prepared, and this was one way to do it. Other than this, there was little he could do because he did not know what the test was going to be about. In the world of ninja, survival could mean anything. Reflecting on his new team, Team 7, he wondered if Kakashi Haddock was chosen specifically for him and Sasuke. The way Sasuke was now, it was evident that unless something changed, he would go down a dark path. Perhaps Kakashi Haddock was there to help him. After all, he must have gotten the Sharingan eye from somebody, most likely an Uchiha teammate. He would be able to understand and help Sasuke. At the same time, being a student under the legendary Seal Master the 4th Hokage no doubt afforded Kakashi some skill in that area. He could probably help Naruto keep the Nine Tails at bay if anything were to happen. So far, Naruto hadn't felt any hostility from the man, so that was a good thing. Suddenly he felt a rush of memories from his clones. It seemed that a clone had the brilliant idea of sticking his feet to trees rather than sticking a leaf to the forehead. As a result, his clones had been attempting to walk up trees for the whole morning. Naruto decided to try it himself. He stuck his foot on the wall and concentrated. Then he walked up a step. Then he walked up several more steps before accidentally using too much chakra and then his foot went into the tree. Fortunately, his other foot was still fine, so he pulled out his foot and kept going all the way to the top. Realizing that there was nothing else for him to do here, Naruto jumped down and walked off to get some ninja supplies. Konoha, Naruto's apartment. Naruto decided that he would not make any new clones that night. If the test was to determine whether he could become Genin, then he'd have to be in top shape and have full chakra. Konoha, Training Ground 3. The Genin of Team 7 once again waited several hours for their sensei to arrive. All three had skipped breakfast. It was nearly 11 o'clock by now. Naruto had been tempted to eat breakfast this morning, but decided against it because he didn't want to seem as though he were insubordinate. The problem was, he scattered shadow clones around the training ground before he arrived so that he could be fully prepared. Unfortunately, this meant he was extra hungry from the use of chakra earlier. Sorry I'm late, I got lost on the road of life, the Jounin sensei of Team 7 said as he poofed into existence. The Genin sweat dropped. In any case, let's get started right away. He then held up two bells. Each of you must grab one of these bells to pass. You have until noon. If you manage to get the bells, you may then eat the lunches I brought which I have placed over there, he said, while pointing to the three wooden posts behind the three Genin. When did he place those there? I didn't notice at all. While Naruto wondered, Sakura asked, but there's only two bells, sensei. Yes. That means that one of you will fail and go back to the academy. The eyes of the three Genin all widened in surprise. Naruto decided to attack while the Jounin's guard was down. He rushed forward with a kunai and threw it at the Jounin. Suddenly the Jounin disappeared and reappeared behind Naruto with a kunai to Naruto's throat. I haven't told you to start yet. But I'm glad you're taking this seriously. If you want to get these bells from me, you must have the intention to kill. Okay then, now start. Sakura and Sasuke went into hiding while Naruto jumped forward and turned around to face the Jounin. Why aren't you hiding, Naruto? Come on, you and me right now. I'll take you. You're a weird one aren't you? But alright. The only weird thing around here is your face. Then he threw a smoke bomb on the ground, held his hands in the cross seal and whispered, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Two shadow clones popped into existence beside him. One dispelled immediately. The remaining clone charged out of the smoke bomb to attack Kakashi, who put his hand into his weapons pouch and pulled out an orange book. The man was unsure what exactly Naruto was trying to do, but knew that Naruto ranked as the dead last in the academy so he wasn't concerned. Time for lesson 1 to Jutsu. The clone threw several punches at the Jounin, only for all of them to be dodged easily. Then one punch was grabbed and the clone was flung forward onto the ground. Catching himself just in time, the clone got up again. In the next moment, Kakashi was suddenly behind him, book held closed between his hands, with his fingers held in the tiger seal. From the forest, Sasuke's eyes widened as he recognized that seal to be often used in fire release jutsu. Hidden Leaf Village secret to jutsu. 1000 years of death. Kakashi yelled out before striking the clone in the anal area with two chakra-enhanced fingers. To his surprise, the clone burst into smoke. Then he heard something drop to the ground behind him and turned around to see that smoke was once again produced. Not a second later, a bright flash enveloped the training ground. Kakashi and observers were all temporarily blinded. At that same moment, 4 kunai with sizzling exploding tags landed near Kakashi, surrounding him. A massive explosion rocked the training ground seconds later. Naruto was now glad that he had hid clones around the training ground and that he was able to coordinate the throwing exploding tags by creating and dispelling a clone to communicate with his existing clones. If he could, he would have given himself a pat on the back for such a well-executed plan. And the flash bomb inside the smoke bomb. It was perfect. Too bad the Jounin was good enough to perform a replacement jutsu while blind. Actually, the Jounin had probably taken note of objects he could replace himself with before the battle started. Nonetheless, the Jounin's reflexes were nothing to scoff at. The problem was, beating such a famous and powerful ninja was an impossible task for fresh genin. While Naruto managed to defeat Mizuki, Kakashi's skill was on a whole other level. In the end, he decided to observe how his teammates fared before getting back into the action. Sakura was confused when she was suddenly blinded while watching the fight between Naruto and Kakashi-sensei. She was more confused when a loud explosion shook the ground right after. And now, she was confused yet again to see her crush Sasuke lying on the ground as if he were dead. Panicking, she did the only thing she could think of, rushed to Sasuke to try and help him. Unfortunately for her, that Sasuke was merely a result of Kakashi's Genjutsu. Demonic illusion. Hell viewing. Doubly unfortunately, Kakashi was not going to go easy on her. She was prompted knocked out. Lesson 2 Genjutsu, Kakashi said out loud. Seeing that both his teammates already fought Kakashi, Sasuke decided that he too would have to leap into the fray. While he was unsure of what exactly happened between Naruto and Kakashi following the flash, he couldn't just sit around forever. Time was running out and he needed a bell. So the moment that Kakashi looked as if he were off guard, Sasuke activated a shuriken trap. But it wouldn't be that easy. A simple replacement jutsu and the trap was avoided. Suddenly he felt a presence behind him and quickly turned while jumping back out into the open. Kakashi soon followed and the two engaged in a taijutsu match. After attempting several punches and kicks, Sasuke's finger skimmed a bell but was forced to jump back again. Not bad Sasuke, but still not good enough. I'm not like the others, Sasuke declared. Well, we'll see about that. With that, Sasuke ran through a series of hand seals for a fire jutsu. Kakashi instantly recognized it and his eyes widened slightly in surprise. He didn't think that a genin could have enough chakra to perform such a technique. High release. Great fireball jutsu. Sasuke thought as he breathed in deeply and exhaled a massive fireball directly at Kakashi-sensei. The flames engulfed Kakashi-sensei and Sasuke wondered if he had killed the man. When the technique finished however, the Jounin was nowhere to be seen. Sasuke looked around him and was unable to locate his sensei, but then felt strong hands grip his feet and he was pulled into the ground. Earth release. Double suicide decapacitation jutsu, drawled Kakashi while coming up from the ground. Lesson 3 Ninjutsu. He received only a glare from Sasuke in response. It was impossible. Absolutely impossible, Naruto decided. There was simply no way for him to defeat the Jounin at his current level. No, the test itself was ridiculous. Maybe he could try the sexy jutsu. No, that would not work either. Naruto recognized the orange book that the silver-haired Jounin carried around. It was from the Come Come Paradise series, which was incredibly popular among men and women in Konoha and he knew this because it was constantly being restocked at the bookstores. But nobody would be daring enough to read the books in public, which this Jounin did. If he was capable of doing that without being embarrassed, then sexy jutsu would not work on him. There had to be some other goal. The whole idea of matching fresh genin in a battle against a seasoned Jounin was just ridiculous. This was supposedly a test chosen by the Jounin themselves. In that case, if the test was really this difficult, the man would never be allowed to be a Jounin sensei. In other words, the whole test was baloney and they did not each need a bell to pass. Perhaps they merely had to work together as a three-man cell should and overlook the fact that only two of them could go on. That sounded reasonable. Unfortunately, neither of his teammates was likely to work with him. That was probably his own fault, he supposed, for keeping the mask of a fool for the past few years. Oh, but he was hungry and only 2 lunch boxes were available. He'd have to work with the other 2 somehow, but he would steal the lunch first to avoid fighting over the lunches after they pass. You 3 are not going back to the academy, Kakashi declared to his 3 students, one of whom was tied up to a stump for attempting to steal the lunches before the test was over. In fact, all of you should just quit being ninja. One genin looked uncomfortable, while the other 2 looked indignant, as if they wanted to say something back. Do any of you know what the purpose of this test was? Do you? It was teamwork. And none of you had that today. You Naruto didn't even try to communicate with your teammates before attacking me. You Sakura didn't bother to help Naruto at all when you saw him fight and only ran to cry beside the defeated Sasuke you saw. And you Sasuke didn't try to help either of your teammates, thinking that they were useless. Boo, but there were only 2 bells and that we each needed one to pass. Sakura protested. That was done on purpose. You have to be able to look underneath the underneath. I will give you one more chance to get the bells after this. Sakura and Sasuke, you two can eat the lunches. Do not give any to Naruto, or I will fail you immediately. With that, the Jounin disappeared in a puff of smoke. Sasuke glanced at Naruto, who looked very hungry. Then, in an uncharacteristic manner, he shoved his lunchbox towards Naruto and said, "Here, eat." "Sasuke?" Sakura questioned, somewhat apprehensive because he was going against orders. He won't be helpful if he's fighting on an empty stomach. "Oh okay, here, take some of mine too, Naruto." "Ah, could you feed me, Sakura-chan?" "What? Why?" I can't move my hands." "Oh, alright, but just this once." She proceeded to feed Naruto. Suddenly Kakashi reappeared in another puff of smoke, looking angry and menacing. "You three," he said in a dangerous voice. "Pass." He continued with a cheerful expression. "Huh?" Naruto and Sakura said in unison. "Come with me." He untied Naruto and led the three to a stone with many names written on it. "On here are the names of many heroes." Naruto walked towards the memorial and touched the stone with his fingers. He wondered if the names of his father and mother would be on here. He had never found any records of his clan name, but the way the old man treated him was far too suspicious for him to just be a no-name orphan. His heritage was probably concealed for his own safety. One day he would find out. Or perhaps, I already have. He thought that while looking towards the Hokage monument off in the distance. If only his greatest idol truly were his father. "Many of my friends and comrades' names are listed here. You probably have some family members or friends on here too. All of them died in the line of duty to protect this village. In the world of ninja, those who do not follow the rules are scum, but those who abandon their teammates are even worse than scum. Remember that." Kakashi turned to look at the three genin. "Tomorrow, we begin our first mission. Rest up tonight and we'll meet at training ground 3 again at 7 o'clock. Konoha, Naruto's apartment. It had been an exhausting day, largely because he had been starving for half of it. As Naruto reflected on the battle with Kakashi, he suddenly had an epiphany. "That's it. I didn't specifically equip my clones with exploding tags, but they all had the tags with them. What's more, they exploded just like authentic explosion seals would." He finally realized what he had been missing during his fight using the harem jutsu. Every single clone that had transformed remained solid even in the transformation. And today, he saw that weapons such as kunai and even seals were duplicated when using the shadow clone jutsu. The seals probably worked because the whole entity was constructed of chakra and seals function by manipulating chakra in patterns the same way that hand seals did. And the reason that shadow clone transformation stayed solid was probably also because of the fact that the whole clone was a chakra construct and thus differed from conventional transformation jutsu used on oneself. As a result, if he wanted to, he could create clones and have them transform in order to clone objects en masse, especially weapons for use in battle. But that would be a waste of chakra, so he would have to figure out how to clone weapons directly, and he knew this had to be possible because otherwise, weapons would not have been duplicated along with the clone in the first place. On the other hand, he could also keep clones hidden on his person by disguising them as other objects. One thing he would have to test out is whether or not cloning would work on an object he was not completely familiar with, for example, a book or a scroll. Today, the explosion seals were cloned because Naruto had previously attempted to draw them himself while exploring Fuinjutsu. He had originally dismissed Fuinjutsu as being too difficult to use in battle and too difficult to find information on. But now, one of the two problems was no longer an issue if he could duplicate seals using clones. The other part might also be dealt with if he could learn from Kakashi, who might know a little something of seals, if Naruto's hunch about Kakashi being specifically chosen to be Team 7 sensei was right. Even if not, at least now he wouldn't have to buy as many explosion seals. At night, a clone at the library tried and failed to use Shadow Clone to duplicate a book that he had never read before. It came out as a blank copy. A portion continued with chakra exercises, except now they were doing tree walking and leaf concentration at the same time. The rest of his clones dedicated themselves to practicing what he dubbed the Shuriken and Kunai Shadow Clone Jutsu. And one clone had a brilliant idea about clones and explosion seals that would go on to become the second independently reinvented jutsu that Naruto acquires, albeit done a little differently. Konoha, near Hokage Monument. "Ah. Why are you so good at this, Shika?" "Meh, who knows?" Naruto scrunched up his face in an expression of concentration as Shikamaru reordered the shogi board for another round. After doing a large number of uninspiring D-rank missions, Naruto was itching to relieve his boredom. The same was true for the lazy Nara. The two had taken to playing shogi between breaks during the day, especially for lunch. Shikamaru's always been good at shogi, Chog Akimichi said while munching on chips. He and Shikamaru were on Team 8 along with Ino Yamanaka, which was reminiscent of the old Ino Shikacho trio of the previous generation. "But you're pretty good too, munch. Nobody's ever made Shikamaru take that many moves to win." Another munch. "And you're getting better too. I wish we could get a C rank already." These D ranks are so boring. Naruto whined. Maybe you'll get one today. Shikamaru replied after the two exchanged several moves. One of the biggest downers about the D ranks was that Naruto couldn't just leave a clone to take his place. Kakashi-sensei would easily see through him and the missions were meant to improve teamwork. If he used clones, he would surely be scolded for dismissing the exercises as being unimportant. What's more, his clones would also disappear if Sakura hit him for saying something stupid. And there was yet another problem. He couldn't help having a crush on Sakura, but he couldn't just be cool either. Show off to impress a girl or stay true to the ninja way, a truly serious dilemma indeed. Stupid hormones. What a waste of brain power. That was the longest match yet. Shikamaru suddenly said, breaking Naruto out of his thoughts. Huh? Then he realized he'd been checkmated. Again. Ah. Stupid hormones. And the other two looked at him strangely. Konoha, Hokage office. Let's see, your next mission is to babysit the third Hokage started. No, no, no and no. I'm tired of these missions. I want to go on a real mission, a mission that only a ninja can do. Naruto exclaimed while Sasuke silently agreed. Kakashi beside them sighed, as if he expected this reaction. Naruto. Do I have to explain to you again how our mission system works? Iruka cut in. No, I already know it. But I'm not a brat like back in the academy anymore. We're ninja now, and we need to get real, live, experience. You can give C-rank missions to Genin, right? Somewhat surprising the rest of the participants in the room, the third responded, well, alright. If you want it so bad, I could give you one. Now meet your client. Tazuna-san, come in. Hey, what's this? These brats don't look like much. Especially the short one with a stupid face. Naruto wanted to yell at the man holding a sake bottle, but kept quiet, knowing that antagonizing the client could reduce his chances of receiving future C-rank missions. I assure you, Tazuna-san, my team is more than capable of the task. And just in case, I am a Jounin, an elite ninja, so there's nothing to worry about. Kakashi defended. Well then, I'm the super bridge builder Tazuna, and I expect you to do a super job of guarding me until I get back and finish my bridge. You got that right. With awesome ninja like us, you got nothing to worry about. Naruto declared. Everyone, we'll be heading out of the village, so do some packing and meet up at the front gates in half an hour. Konoha, Naruto's apartment. Naruto was almost jumping up and down with excitement. It was the moment he'd been waiting for. For one thing, he'd finally be able to use his new skills in live combat. But more importantly, it was an opportunity to get out of the village. With this, it meant that he could test just how far his shadow clones could go from the original. Furthermore, he was already capable of allocating arbitrary amounts of chakra to new clones. And because when a clone dispelled, not only it updated the memories of all the other clones in the original, it also evenly redistributed its remaining chakra among all the clones in the original. It was possible to communicate and recharge clones in this manner. Of course, it would only really work if he had a small number of clones at any one time. If everything worked out, then Naruto would be able to take this opportunity to send a clone to explore the rest of the ninja world, even while the original had to stay in Konoha. Dispelling all current clones in Konoha at the moment, Naruto decided that he would find some sort of opportunity to send off a clone during the mission without alerting his teammates. Konoha, front gates. Let's go. What are you so excited about? Questioned Sakura. It's my first time outside of the village. Hey, am I really going to be safe with this brat? Tazuna asked Kakashi. Well, I am a Jounin like I said earlier. Don't worry, came the response. Hey, don't look down on me. I'm incredible. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm going to take the super elite ninja title Hokage someday. Hokage is the #1 ninja in the village, right? You think you can become it? Shut up. I'm prepared to do anything to become Hokage. And once I do, you'll acknowledge me. No, I won't even if you do. Why? Naruto tried to step towards Tazuna before being pulled back by Kakashi. Tazuna-san, you come from the land of waves, right? Sakura asked, trying to shift the topic as the group continued trekking. Yeah, what about it? Kakashi-sensei, do they have ninjas there too? No, not in Wave. There are ninjas and hidden villages in most other countries though, the Jounin explained. It was then that Naruto noticed a suspicious puddle of water on the ground, even though it hadn't drained for days. His hand unconsciously went to his weapons pouch. The 5 strongest nations are called the 5 Great Ninja Nations. Each of these nations has its own hidden village, the Hidden Leaf being the village for the Land of Fire. The leaders of these villages are called Kages. For example, we have Hokage-sama. There are also the Mizukage, the Reikage, the Tsuchikage, and the Kazekage. So that means Hokage-sama is one of the strongest ninjas in the world. Wow, Hokage-sama is awesome. Sakura said out loud. Meanwhile, inner Sakura retorted, really? That lame old geezer. But just as he was preparing to alert Kakashi-sensei, he realized that an experienced Jounin would not miss such a blatant clue. Then there must be a reason that Kakashi-sensei had yet to take action. However, on a C-rank mission like this one, we won't be seeing any foreign ninjas, Kakashi finished, ending his explanation. Naruto realized then why Kakashi was waiting. If there were not to be any foreign ninjas, then those hiding in the puddle must be after Konoha ninja, or else Tazuna had lied in the mission details. Supposing that the ninja were after Konoha ninja, it may very well be a covert act of war, in which case the enemy ninja would be tight-tongued if the enemy knew anything about war making. It was thus necessary to verify their intentions by waiting to see how they act. As the group walked past a puddle, a shape emerged and began to take form. The shape quickly solidified to become two ninjas wearing metallic masks and spiked gauntlets with a linked spike chain attached. Before a visible reaction was made, the two ninjas already flung their chain and wrapped around Kakashi-sensei. What? As soon as the other three members of the group turned around, they witnessed Kakashi's body being ripped apart. "One down," one of the ninjas declared. Without any hesitation, the ninjas moved forward and surrounded Naruto. Just before they ripped Naruto to shreds, Sasuke quickly moved into action, throwing a well-aimed shuriken at the middle of the chain. He followed up with kunai that hit dead center in the small hole of the shuriken, effectively binding the chain to a tree nearby. Continuing his assault, Sasuke jumped up and landed the gauntlets attached to the chain and kicked both of the two enemy ninja in the face. The two enemy ninjas unlinked the chain without missing a beat. One dashed back to attack Naruto again, while the other continued in the direction he was kicked in to attack Tazuna. Seeing this, Sakura moved in front of Tazuna in a battle-ready stance with a kunai. They're going after Tazuna. Having seen what he needed to know, Naruto finally made his move. He started to run forward towards the ninja approaching him. "False position jutsu," Naruto said out loud with a big smirk on his face. In the next moment, leaves sprung up from the ground in two whirlwinds, trademark of the body flicker, before the two enemy ninjas found themselves crashing into each other right where Naruto was just before. Naruto reappeared in front of Sakura and being aware of the momentum carry of the replacement jutsu he just performed in his little combo, pretended to rush forward towards Tazuna. "Are you alright, Tazuna-san?" At the same moment, Kakashi suddenly reappeared and defeated both enemy ninjas in less than a second as they were picking themselves up from the ground before holding one of the two in under each arm and walking in Tazuna's direction. "Good work, you three." "And interesting technique there, Naruto," Kakashi complimented as he proceeded to tie up the two enemy ninja to the tree behind Tazuna. "Tazuna-san, I need to talk to you." "What is it?" "These look like hit-and-miss Chuninans. We haven't heard that there are ninja after you. Our mission was simply to protect you from thieves and gangs," Kakashi elaborated while turning to look at Tazuna. "This was supposed to be simple protection until you completed the bridge. If it had been known that ninjas were after you, this mission would have been set up as the more expensive B rank. I'm sure you had lots of reasons, but it causes problems when you lie about the mission. We are now operating outside of our duties." Sakura looked like she wanted to say something, but was cut off when Naruto spoke up. "Well, we can't just stop here and quit halfway. We're continuing the mission." You're right that this job is outside of your duties. There's a super dangerous man after my life," Tazuna suddenly admitted. "Super dangerous man?" Naruto asked. "You've probably at least heard of his name before. Gato, the wealthy shipping magnate. Gato from the Gato company. He's said to be one of the world's few extremely rich people," a surprised Kakashi said. "Yes, he's a very nasty man that hires ninjas and gang members to take over businesses and countries, dealing in drugs and other illegal items. About a year ago, he set his sights on Wave Country. He quickly took control of the shipping industry through money and violence. He now has a monopoly and the only thing he has to fear is the bridge I'm going to build." "I see since you're building the bridge, you're in the way," Sakura realized. "So those ninjas were hired by Gato?" Sasuke asked. "Why did you hide this from us?" Kakashi asked. "Wave Country is super poor. Even the feudal lord is poor. We didn't have money for the B rank. Well, if you quit the mission now, I will definitely be killed. But don't worry about it. If I die, my cute 10-year-old grandson will just cry for a few days. Oh yeah, and my daughter will live a sad life hating leaf ninjas forever. But it won't be your fault. Not at all." Team 7 sweat dropped. "I guess we have no choice then. We will protect you at least until you get back to your country." "Hey, Naruto, how did you do that ninjutsu back there?" a curious Sakura asked. Kakashi chuckled inwardly upon hearing Sakura call Naruto's maneuver a ninjutsu, but didn't bother to correct her. Naruto pretended to splutter while scratching the back of his head and grinning. "I thought you just froze up dead last," Sasuke commented. "Why you bastard? Who asked you anyway?" "Chen. And as for how I did it, I'll tell you if you go on a date with me when we get back, Sakura-chan." "What? No way. If you don't want to tell me, you could have just said so." Land of Waves. After traveling by boat across the water separating the two countries, the group finally made it to Wave Country. Suddenly Kakashi and Naruto noticed something amiss. Naruto threw a kunai into the forest area to his left. What's going on? Sakura asked before a white snow rabbit ran out from the direction of the kunai that Naruto threw. It's just a rabbit, Naruto. Everybody down. Kakashi suddenly shouted. Not a second later, a giant sword spun through the air from behind and cut deeply into a tree in front of the four duck travelers. A man with a mist headband stood on the flat of the blade. Well, if it isn't the mist-missing nin Zabuza Mamachi, Kakashi drawled. Scene skip. Ninja technique. Hidden mist jutsu. The air became thick with mist and visibility plummeted while Zabuza disappeared. The fighting shortly ensued. Scene skip. Water prison jutsu. And Kakashi was trapped after just several minutes of fighting, realizing that he had made a mistake and that he had underestimated his opponent. While making a water clone, Zabuza started to speak, wearing forehead protectors and pretending to be ninja, but you know what? A real ninja is one who has survived numerous encounters with death. You're not real ninjas until you get marked down in my handbook and shouldn't be referred to as such. Then the clone disappeared and reappeared in front of Naruto. Naruto was kicked in the face and his leaf headband fell off. Just brats, Naruto. Sakura shouted out. As Naruto slowly got up, he berated himself for not being more prepared. The intensity of the battle had gotten to him and he had been without a plan. Then he noticed that his forehead protector was missing and that Zabuza was stepping on it. He glared at Zabuza. He was angered that the man would dare to abuse the symbol of his hard work, angered that the man would mock him being a ninja, and above all, angered at his own failure to react. Naruto yelled as he charged forward towards Zabuza. What are you doing? We genin don't stand a chance. Sakura shouted. Just as he was kicked again, Naruto swiped his headband off the ground. Heading back up, mark this down in your handbook, you eyebrowless freak. The man who will one day become Hokage Naruto Uzumaki. And I never go back on my word. That's my ninja way. Naruto declared as he tied his leaf headband around his forehead again. Naruto Sakura's voice trailed off as she realized the goal behind his charge. Sasuke, I have a plan. TFT, teamwork from you. Nonetheless, he decided to listen to Naruto. What are you doing? Run away. This fight was over the moment I was caught. Our duty is to protect Azuna-san, or have you forgotten that already? Kakashi shouted to his genin from his prison. The genin looked towards Tazuna, who then said, well, I'm not going to say that I want to live so much that I'd stop you. Fight as much as you want. Still pretending to be ninja. When I was your age, these hands of mine were already stained red with blood. Demon of the Mist, Zabuza Mamachi, Kakashi added. Scene skip. Demon Wind Shuriken. Windmill of Shadows. Sasuke shouted. Something of that level won't work on me, Zabuza said before catching the shuriken with his spare hand. Then he noticed the second shuriken coming at him. This won't work either. And he jumped up to avoid the shuriken. Behind him, the flying shuriken suddenly poofed to reveal another Naruto. Then try this on for size. That Naruto then threw a kunai at Zabuza before looking at Kakashi expectantly as he continued to soar backwards above the water. Of course, Kakashi, who still had his Sharingan eye open and who could see that the shuriken Zabuza held in his hand was not a shuriken either, but rather a shadow clone with an abnormally large amount of chakra, caught on to Naruto's plan immediately, a sign that his genius had not lessened any from his days of being praised as a prodigy. Then just as Zabuza was forced to let go of the water prison to avoid the kunai coming behind him, Kakashi quickly performed the seals for the replacement jutsu. In the next moment, the shuriken that Zabuza was holding on to also poofed to reveal another Naruto, who then grabbed onto Zabuza. As Zabuza tried to shake off the clone, Kakashi had already switched places with a Naruto that was still flying off in the distance. Then the second clone latched onto Zabuza as well. Zabuza started, but before he could say anything further, the body of the first clone was suddenly covered in a large seal. Zabuza's eyes widened as he saw the seals and realized what was happening. Then the clone yelled, "Detonate." And it exploded, generating ripples in the water and flinging Zabuza's body back to the ground from the water. Hidden in the trees, a masked figure dressed in hunter nin gear whispered Zabuza-sama before disappearing and reappearing next to Zabuza's body. I have been looking for this one for a long time. Thank you for defeating him. I must dispose of the body now. The hunter nin. Then the figure body flickered out of sight along with Zabuza. What the shouldn't he have disposed of the body right there? In the forest, another figure watched all of the events that happened and chased after the hunter nin and Zabuza. Zabuza's hideout in wave. Zabuza's body at the moment was covered in burn marks from the explosion, while the hunter nin was tending to him with various herbs. Coughing, Zabuza started to speak, why the hell am I still alive? Zabuza-sama, it seems that the explosion was rather weak. Damn, that kid was good. What did he say his name was? Naruto Uzumaki. I can't believe it. Zabuza-sama, please try not to speak, the hunter nin urged. I'm fine, Haku, he brushed Haku off, more importantly, that kid, he's in Uzumaki. I didn't realize it at first because he didn't have the red hair the Uzumaki clan was known for. Their sealing techniques would be immensely valuable to us if only we could get him to help us, Zabuza murmured before he was cut off by the one known as Haku, throwing senbon needles into some bushes. "Come out," Haku called out. The bushes ruffled. And what came out was Naruto. "You come to finish the fight, brat?" Zabuza asked, trying to get up. "Forgive me, Zabuza-sama, I was distraught when making our escape and I overlooked possible pursuers," Haku apologized while drawing out more senbon needles. "Maybe, maybe not. I want to hear what you were saying just now," Naruto responded to Zabuza and ignoring Haku's statement. "You mean to say you want to help us? Do you even know what it is that we want?" Zabuza questioned in an amused voice. "No, I meant what you said about the Uzumaki clan." "The Uzumaki clan? I don't know anything about my clan name. I always thought I was a no-name orphan in my village." That explains it." "What? The Uzumaki are supposed to be extinct." Hearing this, Naruto felt saddened. He, who had never known a family before, longed to receive the same love that he often saw other kids his age receive from their fathers, mothers, siblings, cousins, aunts and uncles. "Why do you know all this anyway?" "Fine, since you defeated me, I'll tell you. I'm a former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist." "Yeah, I already knew that. That's why I didn't risk making my explosion strong enough to destroy your face beyond recognition. I wanted your bounty. Do you want to know or not?" Zabuza demanded in an annoyed tone. Sorry. Please continue." "As I was saying, the Seven Swordsmen were close to the Mizukage. The fourth Mizukage, Yugura, told us about the evil Konoha ninja who were allied with the Uzumaki and the village hidden in the whirling tides." "Why would he do that?" "Because he's the Jinchuriki for the Three Tails. You know what that means, right?" He was. Apparently, according to him, when the hidden mist obtained the Three Tails, we had no sealing techniques capable of sealing it. We asked for help from the Uzumaki clan of the Whirling Tides because they were very close to us and because they were well known for their sealing expertise. To this day, the hidden mist continues to use the first seals that we were given, Zabuza explained. The man was paranoid, probably insane. Even though he told us the Uzumaki were extinct, he told us to watch for their red hair and red spiral in case one of them decided to attack us. Although, maybe he wasn't as insane as I thought, considering that you're alive. "So you want my help to defeat the Mizukage?" Naruto realized. That's right. But it doesn't matter anyway, because you won't be able to come with me, not if you want to become Hokage as you say. Actually, my team doesn't know about this meeting. And I'm a special kind of clone that can use jutsu, communicate with my original, and go as far from my original as I want. So it's not that impossible. I wouldn't have to become missing nin or anything like that because my village doesn't need to know about this at all. Your team doesn't know about you following us. Well, it's like this." Flashback. The kunai hit the tree, missing its target. The scared snow rabbit that was used for a replacement jutsu ran off to the direction of the path. When the fighting began, the kunai suddenly transformed to reveal a clone of Naruto. He quickly hid himself and began to carefully observe the battle in order to provide the original with information on the battle that the original's point of view would not be able to see. When the battle was over, he chased after the suspicious hunter nin. "So you see, I'm not your average elemental clone. For most intents and purposes, I'm a complete copy of the original that can go anywhere I want, with a mind of my own too," Naruto finished. "Does that mean you're willing to help us? Why do you want to defeat him, the fourth Mizukage?" Silence. It seems Zabuza was not ready to disclose that information. But then he started speaking again. "He is being controlled." "See, controlled? Somebody that powerful is being controlled." "Yes. By whom, I don't know. Kisame Hoshigaki, another former member of the Seven, probably knows. He would have been the best weapon against Yugura, but he never helped us. He's definitely on their side." "Are you sure about all this?" "There's no doubt about it. That's why I staged a coup d'etat. But I couldn't defeat him, not with his tailed beast chakra helping him." Haku, who had been following the conversation silently until now, pondered over the new information that his master revealed. While he knew of Zabuza's ambitions, he had not known about the Uzumaki clan. "What I told you just now, about how Yugura told us about the Uzumaki clan and the evil leaf ninja, that was probably whoever's controlling him's doing. Whoever they are, they seem to hate the hidden leaf," Zabuza continued. "How would my help benefit you? I do not know any Uzumaki sealing techniques. What about that seal you had on that exploding clone? I made the technique myself. Besides, like I told you, I didn't know anything about my clan before now, much less their techniques. I have been to the ruins of the hidden whirling tides. There is a place blocked off by blood seals. If you are in Uzumaki, you should be able to open it. There may be information on your clan techniques there. If you can already create your own seal techniques, then you should be able to learn the techniques of your clan. The place blocked off by blood seals. I wonder if I'll really be able to learn any sealing techniques if my clan left any behind even though I created that exploding clone technique, it's only a shadow clone with an explosive seal covering its body. When creating his explosive clones, Naruto had merely taken advantage of the fact that the shadow clone technique could replicate anything that the user knew in complete detail. He hadn't actually created any new sealing techniques, but merely memorized a basic explosive seal and constructed it as part of his shadow clone. But Zabuza didn't need to know that. This sounds enticing but a little suspicious. Why haven't you hired some other seal master to help you? Are you kidding? How many seal masters are there in the world? How many of them would be willing to fight against the Mizukage and possibly most of the Hidden Mist just for a bit of money? If that's so, then why would I help you? Because I'm not offering you money. If your village won't tell you about your clan, even though they were allied with them, then you won't get information out of them. But I can take you to the ruins of the Whirling Tides. Don't you want to discover more about your lost clan? Why should either of us trust each other? Naruto questioned, but on the inside, he was intrigued. He definitely did not want to pass up this chance. As long as you help me defeat the Mizukage, you are my ally. As for why I would trust you, well right now, my handbook says that you are the man who will become Hokage and who will never go back on your word. That's your ninja way, isn't it? Naruto smirked. He thought of all the benefits of this arrangement and all the possible risks. It was an easy decision. But maybe he could get something more. I'll help you on one condition. And what's that? Teach me. I'm still a genin after all. Fine. Great. You got a deal. I'll arrange for my real self to send me some blood for when we get to the hidden Whirling Tides. When it comes time to fight the Mizukage, I'll find a way for my real self to come. But until then, I'll be the one traveling with you. Just so you know though, even though I can do anything the original can, I'll be dispelled with a good punch. So you'll have to teach me some defensive jutsus first if you don't want me to get dispelled early by accident or in a fight. No big deal. You little Zabuza glared at the blonde Uzumaki before him. Fine. Well then, what are you going to do about Gato? Don't you still have a job? I can't work with you if you're going to attack my team again. Don't worry brat. I already know that bastard wants to kill me and take back his money. He'll be sending a group of mercenaries to kill all of us and the bridge builder when we get weakened in our next fight. We'll come after your team again in about a week and stall until Gato shows up. Then I'll kill Gato and leave your team alone. I hope your plan works. What's the worst that could happen? It will be fun fighting you again, the real you. Aren't you afraid you might die? Don't get cocky, brat. I can hold my own against the 4th Mizukage. You only won that fight because I underestimated you. Next time, there'll be no holding back. As long as nobody dies. Hey, you got nothing to worry about. Alright then. Hold up while I send this information to my real self. Clone Naruto then held his hands up in the cross seal and dispelled instantly another shadow clone with minimal chakra. A slight breeze was the only indicator that a jutsu was just performed. Land of Waves, Tizuna's house. Team 7 and Tizuna's family sat around the dinner table. They were enjoying the food after a long journey and a near disastrous battle. When the Hunter Nin had disappeared with Zabuza, Kakashi had realized that the Hunter Nin was a fake. He couldn't very well pursue them however, because he himself was low on chakra after using the Sharingan so extensively. He was quite grateful that Naruto had managed to defeat Zabuza with his trick. He could have probably only used 1 or 2 more major jutsu had the fight continued. Even if he won the fight then, he would have suffered from chakra exhaustion. It had been years since he'd been in Anbu, the Leaf's elite ninja organization, and he was a bit out of practice. Kakashi was intrigued by the blonde genin's skill. Even in the bell test he had administered, he was surprised at how well Naruto performed despite his poor academy record. He had originally seen his old team and Team 7 and still did, but it seemed that unlike Obito, Naruto was only faking his idiocy. He supposed that he should count himself lucky that his team at least worked together well. However, the team dynamic was already changing. The atmosphere was also a little tense. Naruto hadn't told Sasuke about his planned explosion when he told Sasuke the plan. Sasuke was miffed that Naruto, the dead last of the academy, had been able to come up with a plan in that situation and even defeated a powerful Jounin-level ninja who had been able to subdue Kakashi. Sakura, on the other hand, felt useless seeing her teammates fight while she hadn't done anything. You three have all come a long way. Naruto especially. All of you showed good teamwork and the proper mindset for ninjas, said Kakashi to his students. There was no response. Unfortunately, Zabuza is probably still alive and will come back to attack us. Huh? What do you mean, sensei? Sakura asked. When I explained earlier that the ninja who took away Zabuza was a Hunter Nin, I was wrong. He was probably an accomplice of Zabuza, since Hunter Nin are supposed to dispose of the body on the spot. So we'll fight them again. This time it was Sasuke who asked. Yes, and we'll have to prepare. We will start training tomorrow morning. Why do you even bother? Gatu can't be defeated. You'll all just die. Inari, the grandson of Tizuna, exclaimed. Because we're ninja of the leaf. There's no way we'll lose, Naruto responded. HMPF. And with that, Inari left the table to go to his own room, being finished with his food. What's his problem? Naruto asked. Sighing, Tizuna began the story of the hero of Wave, Kaiza, who was also Inari's surrogate father. Everyone listened intently and was shocked to hear how Kaiza was executed publicly. Okay, we will now start the training, said Kakashi. Hell yeah. Naruto yelled. Okay, but before that I wanted to talk to you about the ninja ability, chakra. What about? Naruto asked. You guys are not using chakra properly. What do you mean? We can already use jutsu, Sasuke added. Listen, even if you are able to release a high amount of chakra, unless you control it properly, the jutsu will be weakened or not work at all. Naruto began to see where Kakashi was headed with this. It was the problem that he had struggled with for years when attempting to do the basic clone jutsu. Only a week ago did he finally perfect it after using shadow clones to train his chakra control with a leaf concentration exercise from the academy and his own tree walking exercise. And by wasting energy, you won't be able to fight for long. And that's a weakness. What are we going to do? Asked Sakura. We're going to learn how to control it. Through very tough training, Kakashi responded. The three genin waited expectantly for their sensei to tell them just what they were going to do. Tree climbing. Sasuke and Sakura sweat dropped while Naruto's eyes widened. Tree climbing? What kind of training is that? Asked a doubtful Sakura. Well, listen until the end. This isn't normal tree climbing. You're going to climb without using your hands. Now Sasuke was listening closely while Sakura was a little confused. Naruto's eyes were even more open than before. How? Asked Sakura. Well, watch, said Kakashi before applying chakra to his feet and proceeding to walk up a nearby tree. Gather chakra at the bottom of your feet and climb up. This is something you can do once you can use chakra well. Wait a minute. How is learning how to climb a tree going to make us stronger? Demanded Sakura. The purpose of this is for you to learn to control chakra. The amount of chakra needed to climb a tree is small, but it must be exact. This can be difficult even for a skilled ninja. So if you learn to do this, you should be able to master any jutsu theoretically. You will also develop the stamina needed to maintain chakra control. Then Kakashi took out 3 kunai and threw them to the ground where his students were. Use those kunai to mark your progress. Then try to surpass it. Try to get some momentum by running at first. As per his instructions, the 3 genin each picked up a kunai and started to gather chakra to their feet. They then ran towards a separate tree and started climbing. A moment later, Sasuke had used too much chakra, pressing into the tree, and fell down as a result. Sakura easily climbed to a branch near the middle of her tree. Naruto climbed a section higher and then suddenly turned and jumped to the tree that Kakashi was still standing on. Wow, this is pretty easy. Sakura said loudly. What are you doing here, Naruto? Kakashi asked. Sensei. I already did this exercise before, came the response. Oh? You did? Who taught it to you? Kakashi inquired. I just found out about it myself actually. When I did the leaf concentration exercise that we were taught in the academy, I figured I might try to stick something else rather than get a leaf to stick to me. Then I thought of climbing a tree. I've been practicing it for a while now. And Kakashi then jumped down from the tree and Naruto followed him right after. Well, it looks like Naruto and Sakura already have the hang of this. Sasuke glared at Naruto before continuing with the exercise, this time climbing higher than before. Sakura, you keep training to help your stamina. Sasuke, keep at it until you can do it easily. Naruto, well if you already mastered this, then you might be ready for a more advanced version of this, Kakashi said, inside thinking that the blonde was full of surprises these days. Sakura, Sasuke, we will be at the bridge if you need me. Come on, Naruto. Naruto nodded before following after Kakashi. Behind them, Sakura was delighted that she would be alone with Sasuke for the next little while. Sasuke continued his training fervently. By the time Naruto and Kakashi got to the bridge, Tizuna and his workers had already arrived and were working on building the bridge. Alright Naruto, you see the water down there? Kakashi pointed to the water below the bridge. You're going to use your chakra to keep yourself standing on it. Let me show you. He proceeded to jump down to the water and applied chakra to his feet. Now, you give it a try, he called. Naruto remembered seeing both Kakashi and Zabuza being able to stand and fight on the water during the earlier battle. He could see how useful this would be. Okay. Then he jumped down and applied some chakra to his feet. Unfortunately, he hadn't applied the right amount, thus falling into the cold water. A muffled cry could be heard above the water before Naruto resurfaced and started treading the water. Kakashi chuckled at the display before saying, use chakra on your hands to climb up and try again. If you can't get it, then swim over to the shore and start with one foot. He then started walking towards the shore. Naruto swam after him, not wanting to stay in the cold water any longer. When they reached the shore, Naruto said to Kakashi, "Alright, I'll have this down in no time, just watch." Putting his hands together in the cross seal, Naruto then said out loud, "Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu." Approximately 30 shadow clones appeared and they all started to attempt the exercise. "You're using shadow clones?" Kakashi asked. "Yeah. I learn everything they learn, so it's a great way to speed up my training. This shouldn't take me longer than 10 minutes. I should already have great chakra control, considering that I've been doing the other 2 chakra control exercises with shadow clones for the month now," Naruto explained. "I suppose it should be okay, considering your chakra reserves." Inside, he was again surprised that Naruto had already started to take advantage of this trait of shadow clones. He was also a little impressed by the number of clones that Naruto could make without breaking a sweat, since he had never seen Naruto use the mass shadow clone jutsu before. It seemed more and more that Naruto was a hidden genius in the ninja arts. "Hey Kakashi-sensei, since I'm going to have this mastered soon, can you teach me something else?" Naruto asked. "Well, you sound like you have something in mind. What would you like me to teach you? Maybe if it isn't too dangerous or high level." It's just like you to see through me, sensei." "Well, see, you know the shadow clone is my favorite jutsu, right?" Naruto started. "The thing is, they get dispelled too easily by a punch or two. I was thinking, do you know of any armor type jutsu that I could learn? To make my clones be more helpful into jutsu." "Armor type jutsu, huh? Well, why not just train to jutsu? Because they'll still be dispelled if they block a strike that's strong enough." "Okay, what about earth clones then?" "Well, that wouldn't do. The elemental clones don't have a mind of their own and they're just generally less versatile than the shadow clone." "Come on, you fought in the Third Ninja World War, didn't you, sensei? You must have copied some earth release armor jutsus from the Stone Ninja. You sure know a lot, don't you, Naruto?" "Well, you're right, I do know of a jutsu that should be what you're looking for." "Alright," Naruto exclaimed. Or was it a clone that exclaimed? At any rate, a clone dispelled and the rest of his clones seemed to have a much better time staying up on the water now. "Okay, this one is called the Stone Armor Jutsu 1, Kakashi started. He then went through the hand seals and initiated the technique. There was no visible indication that he had any sort of armor on, except for some reflections of light. This is a skin-deep and transparent armor that increases both your physical defense, but also increases the strength of your physical strike. It does not have any effect on your speed, and you will not need any extra chakra to sustain it after you first initiate it," Kakashi continued. Then he released the technique. "It's a chakra flow-based technique that uses earth-type chakra. But you will probably have some trouble learning it because it is a chakra flow type. In fact, unless you have the earth affinity, it will probably be very difficult. Though with your shadow clones, you might be able to learn it faster. But even with 50 shadow clones, you will probably not be able to learn this technique before Zabuza attacks us again. Are you sure you want to learn this? Affinity? Oh, I guess I'll have to explain it to you then. There are 5 types of chakra affinities, 1 for each element. Usually each ninja starts out with 1 chakra affinity and they will find techniques of that element easier to learn. Jounin will usually have 2 chakra affinities. You can develop an affinity with certain exercises. Genin don't usually start this kind of training until they become Chunin. I don't have any chakra paper with me, so I can't test for your chakra affinity. But even if you don't have earth as your primary affinity, you can still develop the affinity. Most ninja will specialize in only 1 or 2 elements for combat. How many affinities do you have, Kakashi-sensei? Actually, my Sharingan allows me to use copy most techniques, so even if I don't have the affinity for a specific technique, I can still perform it. How can I get started with training my earth affinity for this technique? For you to learn this technique, you don't have to master the earth nature. If you do, the technique will become far stronger. Most techniques are like that. The more you use it, the stronger the element's affinity becomes even without affinity training, albeit at a very slow rate. You really shouldn't try to master a second element before mastering your first, so unless you find that earth is your primary affinity, then you should just stick with training the technique rather than the affinity. This technique sounds awesome. I'll definitely learn it. So, what do I do? To begin, try to think of making your chakra harder, more solid. Imagine the strength of the ground flowing into you and forming a kind of unbreakable stone armor on your skin. Hearing that, Naruto closed his eyes and began to concentrate. It won't come naturally to you unless you are an earth type, so don't worry if you don't get it at first. You could start by forming the armor on your palm, which is usually an easier place to mold chakra. Once you get the hang of it, test it and see how strong the armor is, so you know what it will withstand. Going through the hand seals Kakashi showed earlier, Naruto tried to gather his chakra and visualize the hardening of it. He held out his palm and concentrated on creating the armor there. Unfortunately, his palm did not feel any different from usual, except for the warmth of the chakra there. Arg. I don't feel anything at all. Naruto complained. I didn't expect you to. I'd be surprised if you can perform the technique at all in a week. This is, after all, a chakra flow type, which means it's more dependent on creating earth chakra than usual. On the upside, if you do manage, then when you try to develop your earth affinity later, you'll find it much easier. Mass shadow clone jutsu. Naruto shouted. And with that, he made about 70 more shadow clones. Alright. Get to work, everyone. Following the order, all the clones began to attempt the technique. Kakashi was surprised at the number of clones Naruto had made. He hadn't expected Naruto to be able to make much more after the initial 30. Is this the work of the Nine Tails? He questioned within his own mind. He understood at once the implications of training in this manner. The boy's potential was vast, but hey, Naruto, normally, I would say go knock yourself out. But in this case, try not to knock yourself out, it could be dangerous. Oh. Don't worry, sensei. I've been training this way for a whole month now. At first, I fainted when I dispelled 50 clones, but then I started dispelling in smaller groups and I got used to it. If I dispel 50 all at once now, I'll just get a headache, but it'll go away in a few hours. Well, then I'll leave you to it. I'll be helping to train your teammates until they catch up at least, so if anything happens, you know where to find me. Then the Jounin sensei turned around and took a few steps before turning back again. Oh, and by the way, since you're so ahead of the others, you'll be on bridge watching duty from now on. Bye. And with a wave of the hand to signal his departure, the Jounin poofed into smoke and was gone. When Naruto was certain that the Jounin had left the area, he took out a small vial before biting his thumb to draw some blood. He let the blood drop into the vial and then popped a soldier pill into his mouth. As his body was stimulated by the pill, he regained his lost chakra. Then he created a new shadow clone with over half of his chakra, which was enough to last for a week if it didn't use any chakra on its own. The shadow clone took the vial of blood and nodded to Naruto before dashing off. Kakashi-sensei was right about chakra control being important. I can do so much more with my chakra now compared to back when I was an academy student. Sasuke was fuming. First, the dead last had managed to come up with a plan to defeat a high-level missing nin when he could not, then it turns out that the same dead last had discovered and mastered a training exercise on his own. This was completely unacceptable. What have I been doing these years? Was his thought as he repeatedly dashed up and fell down the tree that was down filled with foot imprints and kunai slashes. Training, and more training, yet. The urgency of his need to grow stronger had always been apparent to him. It was why he focused on bettering himself every day. It was why he practiced his grand fireball jutsu for many long hours to get it to be as big as he saw his big brother make before. It was why he ignored everything else that the other kids thought important and instead completely devoted himself to his ultimate goal. So why? Why is he better than me? Sasuke's big brother had always been like an ideal, an insurmountable barrier. He had dreamed of surpassing his brother and gaining acknowledgement from his father, yet he knew deep down that the task was nigh impossible. At 13 years of age, his brother Itachi Uchiha had already become an Anbu captain. This year, Sasuke would turn 13 and he was but a genin, whereas Itachi had to have grown even stronger than before. Was the gap between their powers closing or widening? He didn't know. But he did know that if he wanted to match his brother, then he'd at least need the Sharingan. And unfortunately, he hadn't activated the Uchiha's prized bloodline trait yet, even though Itachi had mastered it at 8 years of age. Still, Sasuke could not be deterred. His relentless and increasingly ferocious efforts to master the tree-walking exercise could be seen as proof of that. Though he was unsure of many things, one thing was clear. I won't lose to that idiot. Meanwhile, Sakura had already run out of energy. She never had a lot of chakra to begin with, and even though she seemed to have great chakra control, she simply couldn't last for long. She was sitting with her back against the base of a tree and watching Sasuke quietly. Earlier, she had tried to offer help but was rejected by her cold teammate. She had been surprised that Naruto already knew the exercise but was glad that she could have some private time with Sasuke. But as always, Sasuke had no intentions of even talking with her. She sighed. Boys, why do they have to be so stubborn? She whispered to herself. Inner Sakura responded, Cha. It's his loss. I bet Naruto would be happy to accept our help. Giving up already, Sakura? A voice said from beside her. AC sensei? I ran out of energy, she replied meekly. Oh well, I guess it can't be helped. Girls do normally have less chakra than boys, Kakashi commented. Huh? Is that why Sasuke-kun can keep going for so long? She asked. That's a part of it, but those two are special. Sasuke has an extraordinary amount of chakra for a genin. And Naruto. Kakashi trailed off. What about Naruto? Well, he's probably got a lot more chakra than me, even, maybe 4 times as much, Kakashi admitted. What? No way. How can that be? Exclaimed a surprised Sakura. And inner Sakura exclaimed, Cha. So Kaka-sensei is weak after all. Ah, you just doubted my ability just now, didn't you? Kakashi accused. Sakura's sweat dropped. Meanwhile, Kakashi was thinking, she thinks she has very little chakra, but I hadn't even expected her to be at a decent level. And the other two, this will be interesting. Hey kid, where are your teammates? Tazuna asked a concentrated Naruto. They're training with Kakashi-sensei, Naruto responded. Why aren't you with them? Since I'm so superior, Kakashi-sensei asked me to guard you. I can also train and guard at the same time, as you can see. I guess you weren't super weak in that fight, Tazuna admitted. Heh. So you're finally beginning to see how awesome I am. Naruto remarked. Just then another man came by. Hey Tazuna, I've been doing a lot of thinking recently, and can I stop working on the bridge? Why, Jiichi? This is so sudden. Not you too. Tazuna, we've been close for a long time now. I want to help you, but if we continue this Gato will notice. And if you get killed, what's the point then? Why don't we quit now? I can't do that. This bridge is our bridge, Tazuna declared. This is the bridge we started building together, believing that it would bring resources into our super poor country. But if we all lose our lives. It's already noon. Let's stop for today, Tazuna announced. Jiichi, you don't have to come tomorrow. Land of Waves, Tazuna's house. Naruto and Sasuke were wolfing down their meals, trying to eat as much as possible. Then both of them gagged and nearly threw up. If you're going to throw up, then stop eating. Sakura yelled at both of them. We have to eat. Because we have to become stronger. Naruto answered. Well that's true, but you don't have to throw up, Kakashi advised. Why are you still trying? It's all useless anyway. You'll never be strong enough to defeat Gato. Inari vented angrily. Shut up. Just because you're too sad and pathetic to do anything doesn't mean we're like you. Naruto responded hotly. Why you always act so happy all the time? You'll never understand. Inari responded in turn, with just as much vigor. Naruto put his hands on the table and abruptly stood up. His face was in a scowl. You don't know anything about me, so shut up. What your dad said was right. If you have something precious to you, then you need to protect it with your own two arms. Naruto, who had so few people that could be considered precious to him, had felt a certain resonance with the words of Kaiza. Then he turned around while Inari, with tears forming in his eyes, also decided to leave the table and ran upstairs. Huh? Sakura was confused at seeing how Naruto reacted. She never thought that he'd be capable of such anger. Then again, she remembered the fight with Zabuza and realized that she had seen very different aspects of Naruto since Team 7 was formed. Sasuke watched the proceedings silently. He knew that Naruto was an orphan who had lived alone all his life, and he knew personally the pain of being alone, though he also knew the pain of losing loved ones. Kakashi, being a jounin and having knowledge of Naruto's burden, understood perfectly the reasons for the outburst that seemingly revealed a glimpse of the person behind the constantly cheerful mask. Hey, where are you going, Naruto? Sakura called out as Naruto began to walk towards the door. If you're thinking of training, take a break. You've already used a lot of chakra today, if you use any more, Kakashi added. I'm going to prove it, Naruto started, before pausing. I'm going to prove that in this world, heroes do exist. Then he promptly walked out. Shortly after, Sasuke stood up too. Sasuke-kun. He walked to the door before answering, I'm going too. Then he too walked out. Sakura looked a little nervous as she fidgeted about, unsure if she should be resting, while both her teammates had gone out to train. Sensei. You want to go too? Yeah, she looked away. Well, I won't stop you, the Jounin sensei replied. Thanks, sensei. Then Sakura followed after the two before her. That stupid kid. Damn. Screw Zabuza, I'm going to kill Gato myself. Holding his hands in the cross seal, Naruto created 3 shadow clones. 2 of the clones leapt aside to watch, while the last ran through some hand seals before beginning a basic taijutsu stance. Mimicking the clone, Naruto got into his taijutsu stance too. Both Naruto and the clone rushed towards each other. Naruto was the first to throw a right hook, which was promptly blocked by the clone, using a flourish of the left arm. As the clone drew in his right leg for a kick, Naruto decided to do the same thing. Both feet impacted, but the clone dispersed. Damn. I still can't feel any earth chakra, let alone the armor. He then noticed Sasuke watching him from behind. What is it? Naruto asked while turning around. Sasuke was looking away when he asked, what did sensei teach you? Naruto simply looked at Sasuke for a moment before responding, heh, you want me to show you? Naruto, Sasuke-kun. Sakura came running, then stopped to catch her breath. Hey, Sakura-chan. You came to train too. Let's go to the bridge then, and I'll show you what Kakashi-sensei taught me today, Naruto said with a grin, before turning to the direction of the bridge. Okay. Said Sakura as she followed after Naruto. Sasuke followed silently. O mighty and majestic stone, please show me your ways. This was the thought of Naruto as he lay face down with his arms and legs spread out over a rather large piece of flat rock. He was trying to become closer to the stone, to understand it, and to make his chakra more stone-like. So far, he wasn't sure if it was working. He hadn't felt any kind of response from the stone. It was probably pointless, but everything else he had tried had failed too, so he hadn't any better ideas. Kakashi-sensei was right. He had a lot of trouble even feeling any earth chakra, let alone making his technique work. It was obvious that he was no earth nature by this point. And suddenly, there was a tiny, minuscule vibration in the stone that could not possibly be felt had he not been concentrating with all his might. Did his call actually work? Was it possible that this inanimate object could respond to him? "Oh great stone, hey Naruto," came a soft voice from above him. Huh? Naruto managed to get out while turning on his back and sitting upright. Oh, darn. It was just Sakura-chan sitting down. Sakura-chan sitting down beside me. "Can I ask you something?" Sakura continued. "Oh, sure. What's it like?" Sakura asked. Seeing the confused look on Naruto's face, she elaborated with a slight tinge of pink on her cheeks, I mean being an orphan, and all. Oh, Naruto tried to think of an answer. "It's lonely, I guess. But I can't really make any comparison since I've never had a family before." He responded softly. He wondered what had caused the sudden interest. Was it his little outburst at the dinner table? He probably shouldn't have let his emotions get the better of him. But it's okay. You don't have to worry about me, Sakura-chan. I've always gotten by no matter what. He continued cheerfully. He received a small smile in return before Sakura averted her gaze. In the awkward silence that ensued, Naruto went back to trying to become closer to the stone. A splash could be heard as Sasuke fell into the water again. Kakashi stood outside Inari's room, listening to the sounds of crying. "Inari-kun." He heard a sniffle, then a response, "What do you want?" I'm sorry for Naruto's outburst. He's always been hot-headed. Ninja life can be pretty harsh, you know. But Naruto, he's already had his fair share of pains. He looks so happy all the time. Why is that? I suppose he just got tired of being sad all the time and decided to do something about it. He decided to become stronger so he wouldn't have to be sad anymore. He might not look it, but his life was pretty hard. You see, he's an orphan, and for a reason I can't tell you, he was always ignored by everyone else in the village. So he must have been lonely, but he didn't let it get to him. The door creaked open. Do you really think that you can win against Gato? If anybody could, then Naruto would be the one to do it. He won't stop until he makes sure that Gato's gone forever. Land of Waves, Zabuza's hideout. Brat, we're going to fight again in 2 days. What? So soon? I thought you said in a week. Clone Naruto protested. Didn't you see what Gato was like when he came by earlier today? If we don't get a move on, he might just hire new ninja. Besides, I'll be fully healed by then. Fine. It can't be helped then. I'll be keeping tabs on Gato then, during the fight. Do whatever you want. Just meet us back here when it's over. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I have the blood from the boss. Oh? I'm actually a new clone, you see. The old one dispelled when I came along. Here, this is where I'm keeping the blood. Clone Naruto rolled up his left sleeve to show a simple storage seal. You sealed into yourself. What happens if you get dispelled? Who knows? I have no idea, myself. Maybe it just ceases to exist. In any case, this is just a safety precaution, so you won't just take off with my blood. Still don't trust me, brat. Sure I do, but situations can change. If something happens and our alliance breaks down, well, I won't let you have my blood in that case. Whatever. The next day, the Genins each continued their training. When Kakashi saw that both Sakura and Sasuke had mastered tree walking to an acceptable level and began water walking, Sakura had mastered both, but still needed more stamina with walking on water, he allowed all 3 Genin to do their training at the bridge. Kakashi-sensei. I've tried everything. I still can't feel any earth chakra at all. I even tried to beg the stone to help me. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Did the stone talk to you? No. It didn't even move at all while I was lying on it for hours. Maybe that's what the stone wanted you to see. What are you talking about? The stone didn't move at all, right? Maybe that's what it's telling you to do. Don't move. Or don't let your chakra move. The technique is, after all, meant to only make you use chakra once and it will stay until you dispel it. So, if you're channeling chakra to it constantly, you should try to stop that and just mold the chakra that's already there. Naruto's eyes widened. Of course. Earth chakra is supposed to be strong, unbreakable, and immovable. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto then ran over to the rock he had been on the day before and sat down in a meditative position, focusing on removing all movement. He started to focus his chakra to his palm and concentrated on retaining the chakra there without sending more chakra. When dinner time came, Inari didn't say a single word. Hey Naruto, what exactly were you doing yesterday and today, on that rock? Sakura asked with burning curiosity. I was trying to become one with the stone. Naruto replied excitedly. Earlier, he had finally managed to feel a slight difference between the chakra he normally used and this so-called earth chakra he was supposed to make. Become one with the stone. That sounds like something out of a manga. Sakura commented. Only you would do something stupid like that, moron, Sasuke added. Hey. It's for a new jutsu. I have to be completely still, you see. Sounds useless, Sasuke voiced. No, it's not. You'll see. It's to make my clone stronger. If I can do this, I might even be able to make my own personal army of clones. Naruto defended. HN. Land of Waves, Gatu's hideout. Alright men. Get ready to head out. Gatu shouted. You two, I want you to capture Tezuna's daughter and take her hostage. Get going. He gestured to the door. Got it. And the two men left. Above them, a bird flew out the window and landed on the roof before transforming into clone Naruto. I have to let the boss know. He held his hands in the cross seal and dispelled a shadow clone with minimal chakra. This time, not even a breeze could be felt as the technique was performed. There was no indication of any jutsu except for the telltale chakra flare that could only be felt by sensor types and seen by bloodline eye techniques. Land of Waves, Tezuna's unfinished bridge. A mist covered the bridge as Kakashi and his students arrived with Tezuna. Team 7 braced themselves for the battle to come. Somewhere in Fire Country, a man who a forehead protector with the character for oil inscribed was reading from a piece of parchment as he walked. To my student Jiraiya. Jiraiya, this is an important message. Please come back to Konoha as soon as possible. Naruto has recently become a genin. But, he did so in quite the roundabout manner. One of his Shunin teachers was a traitor and sought to steal the forbidden scroll of sealing. He used Naruto's failure in the genin exam in order to manipulate Naruto into stealing the scroll for him. Surprisingly, or perhaps not so, Naruto accomplished the task while learning the mass shadow clone jutsu within the span of a few hours. As you already know from your previous observations, Naruto is much more capable than he lets on. And so, it is to my great concern that Naruto may have copied the rest of the jutsus on the forbidden scroll, though he has yet to show signs of it. As most of these jutsu directly involve the use of sealing, it seems prudent to me to call for you and have you educate him in seals, especially with his heritage. There is yet another reason for my calling you. It has come to my attention that Naruto has been using the mass shadow clone jutsu as a training method. I often see armies of Naruto clones training through my telescope jutsu. You are, of course, aware of the risks here. He is probably aware of the risks himself, but I would like for you to check up on the Nine Tails seal to see what effects this highly chakra-intensive training is having. Here is in Sarutobi, third Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves. P.S. When are you going to finish writing the next installment of Icha Icha? The brat's finally become a genin, huh? The man put away the paper in a pocket and continued merrily on his way. Land of Waves, Tezuna's bridge. Be careful, it seems that Zabuza's here. Tezuna-san, stay back, Kakashi warned. Finally, let's take them down. Naruto declared. On the inside, he was concerned about what might happen. He had to make sure Gatu showed up before the fight went too far. Then a rush of images came into his mind. Gatu's going after Tsunami-san. Damn, I should have left some clones behind. Kakashi and the three genin walked towards the mist. On the other side, they could see Zabuza was approaching with that masked hunter nin. I don't suppose you'd be willing to hand over the old man, now would you, Kakashi? Zabuza's voice seemed to permeate through all of the mist. You're back for more? I thought Naruto here killed you last time, Kakashi taunted. Don't be stupid. I won't underestimate you this time. Maybe, but you haven't seen what I can do either, since I underestimated you too. Hell look. Your poor genin is shaking, Zabuza said in reference to Sasuke. Suddenly water clones appeared from the mist, surrounding the leaf group. I'm shaking with excitement. Sasuke responded. Do it, Sasuke. Kakashi said. In a quick burst of speed, Sasuke whipped out his kunai and slammed it into the water clone in front of him. Then he whirled around and easily disposed of the rest, leaving a large puddle of water on the ground. Impressive. It looks like he's grown, being able to destroy my water clones like that. Even though a water clone only has 1/10 of the original strength. Even so, it is certainly impressive, the masked ninja added from beside Zabuza. That masked one, he's obviously Zabuza's comrade, standing next to him and all, Kakashi said in a low voice to his students. He should stop hiding under that mask and face us. Sakura asserted. I'll fight him. Tricking us with that stupid Act 1 hate bastards like that the most, Sasuke declared. You're so cool, Sasuke-kun. Both Naruto and Kakashi sighed. An impressive young man, but we already have the first advantage, Zabuza stated. Go, Haku. Yes. Haku dashed forward toward Sasuke with an incredible speed, the likes of which the three genin had never seen before. Somehow, Sasuke still managed to avoid the swipe and countered with his own. Then he noticed the senbon needles held tightly in between each finger on Haku's fist. They shot off with a flick of the wrist, and in his effort to avoid them, Sasuke's arm was caught by Haku. In retaliation, Sasuke used the arm that was gripped to grab back onto the arm holding him, causing an apparent stalemate. "You're pretty fast. But from now on, you will only be able to run from me. I have already gained 2 advantages," Haku said. "What?" Then Haku began to perform hand seals with his unoccupied hand. 1,000 flying water needles of death. The observers, except for Zabuza, all looked shocked to see many needles materializing from the air and the water on the ground, surrounding Sasuke and the masked ninja. The observing ninja were especially shocked that one-handed seals had just been performed. As the needles approached, Sasuke concentrated his chakra to his legs. Meanwhile, Haku leapt backwards to get out of the crossfire. Not a second later, the needles slammed into the area the two had previously occupied, but Sasuke was nowhere to be seen. Shuriken flew down from the air, and Haku leapt back to avoid each one. "You're pretty slow. From now on, you will only be able to run," Sasuke said in a mocking voice from behind Haku. Immediately, Haku whirled around and engaged in a fierce direct-to-jutsu fight with Sasuke, but it seemed that Sasuke's speed was slightly higher, as Haku was then kicked back to Zabuza's direction. "I can't have you underestimating my students by calling them brats. Sasuke is the Leaf's #1 rookie. Sakura here is the brightest. And Naruto, he's the #1 most surprising ninja," Kakashi declared. "Haku, at this rate, we'll be pushed back. We can't have that, right?" "Yes." Haku then got up and began a series of hand seals. Secret jutsu. Demonic ice crystal mirrors. Before Sasuke even had a chance to react, all the water around him had suddenly formed mirrors that surrounded him from all sides, even from above. Kakashi and Naruto's eyes widened. "What kind of jutsu is that?" "Sakura, step in front of Tazuna and guard him until the fight is over," Kakashi ordered. At the same time, Naruto created 5 shadow clones. "Kakashi-sensei, if we're being attacked here, Tazuna's house might also be under attack. I'll send a few shadow clones back to guard them." "Good thinking, Naruto." Then 3 of the shadow clones dashed off in the direction of the village. As soon as they did this, everyone there heard a cry from inside the cage of mirrors. Sasuke was being hit by senbon needles from all sides, which were flying at extremely high speeds that even Sasuke could not see well. "We have to help him, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto declared before charging forward with his clones. But Kakashi was already on the move, dashing towards the mirrors. Unfortunately, he was intercepted by Zabuza with his giant cleaver. "Too bad, Kakashi. You'll have to fight me first if you want to help your student. Don't forget about me," Naruto yelled before his clones surrounded Zabuza and proceeded to attack. In a clean slash, both clones were defeated. Kakashi took the opening provided and dashed forward in front of Zabuza, heading for the mirrors. "Not so fast." Zabuza growled before giving chase. Then a voice called from behind him, "Mass Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu." In an instant, a massive number of shuriken appeared from thin air and spun towards Zabuza. "Water release. Water encampment wall." The water on the ground gathered together to form a wall for Zabuza. But due to the sudden appearance and the sheer number of shuriken, he was unable to block all of them. A few shuriken cut his arms and legs. "Damn you, kid," Zabuza muttered as the shield was released. Behind him, Kakashi finished the hand seals for a fire jutsu. Fire release. Great Fireball Jutsu. A huge fireball engulfed several mirrors. At first, it seemed to melt slightly, but it reformed as fast as it melted. On the inside, Sasuke was panting, having spent a great deal of stamina trying to avoid the senbon. Things were not looking good. On the plus side, it seemed as though he could see the senbon better than before now. "So fire jutsu won't destroy the mirrors. Maybe we have to attack the mirrors from both the inside and the outside at the same time. It's useless. You cannot hope to escape. My special ice mirrors will only disappear if I release them. Do you not see the futility of this fight? I do not wish to kill you, so just give up," Haku's voice rang out from every mirror. "These mirrors are strong indeed. Looks like I'll have to." Kakashi lifted up his headband that was covering his Sharingan eye. He saw that the mirrors had chakra flowing to them, a mix of wind and water. This is a bloodline elemental combination. He then ran through a series of hand seals before holding his right hand with his left out in front of him, aimed at the ground. Sparks started to crackle around him, intensifying until the sound became like that of 1,000 birds chirping. A bright ball of blue electricity formed in his right hand. Lightning cutter. Then he dashed forward towards the mirrors at high speed, holding his right arm behind him. As the 3 clones approached Azuna's house, they saw the 2 thugs that headed out earlier from Gatu's hideout holding onto Tsunami and walking away from the house. That was bad, very bad. If they had Tsunami hostage already, it would be difficult to fight without putting her life at risk. Then a small kid came running out of the house. "Get away from my mom." It was Inari. At the moment, he was scared, yet determined. He thought of Kakashi had said the night before. That Naruto knew what it meant to be strong, and that's why he was fighting. He thought of the three genin that trained hard, even though Gato was so powerful. They're all so cool. He thought of Naruto, who had called him pathetic and refused to give up, and who was just like his dad Kaiza. So strong he had to be strong too, and that was why he chose to fight, even if winning was impossible. Kill him. One of the thugs shouted before taking out his sword and charging towards Inari. The other thug mimicked his action. As the two thugs got close, two Naruto clones appeared behind them and kicked their heads, knocking them unconscious. Sorry we're late. But a hero always shows up at the last moment, you know. A Naruto clone then ruffled Inari's hair. Sorry about yesterday too, when I called you pathetic. I take it back. You're strong. You provided me with the perfect distraction to save your mom. Just then, Inari began to cry. Damn it, I said I wouldn't cry anymore. Now you'll call me a crybaby. No, it's alright to cry when you're happy. As the sound of electricity cackling reached the ears of Naruto and Zabuza, they tried to find the source of it. They saw Kakashi holding the ball of lightning in his hands, as if preparing to hit the mirrors with it. He's using so much chakra that it's visible around his hands. Was the thought of Zabuza. So that's the technique that was rumored to have cut a lightning bolt in half. Lightning cutter. What a release. Hidden miss jutsu, Zabuza suddenly said, bringing Naruto out of his thoughts. Naruto turned in all directions, but was unable to see anything around him. Concentrating, he could still hear the sounds of Senbon hitting the ground and the occasional splash, but that was all. However, he couldn't hear any footsteps, which was probably something that came with Zabuza's reputation of being a master of the silent killing technique. If I can't see farther than a meter, then I'll just have to. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu. The clones moved forward, spreading out to cover as much area as possible. Within seconds, Naruto felt a number of clones getting destroyed to his left. Now I know where he is, but how am I supposed to fight properly like this? I can't just blow up clones when Zabuza gets close to them, or else he might actually die. I have to clear this mist. Lightning cutter. Kakashi's hand pierced through a mirror and tore it apart with one smooth slash from the bottom right to the top left. Panting slightly, he called out, Sasuke, take this chance to escape. He destroyed my mirror. Haku thought as he saw the black-haired genin run towards the opening. The wave of Senbon hit the ground in front of Sasuke, forcing him to swerve to the right. The pieces of the broken mirror began to reform rapidly. Not willing to waste his previous effort, Kakashi leapt in. How foolish. You should have stayed outside to try again, Haku's voice rang out once more. Sasuke, are you alright? I'm fine, sensei. What do we do? Sasuke answered while panting heavily. There is nothing you can do. To me, it is as if you are moving in slow motion. This is the power of my bloodline limit. This fake hunter nin has a powerful bloodline limit. I hope Naruto can hold off Zabuza on his own. I better finish this quick. Kakashi's mind raced. Fortunately, this guy was wrong about his speed. With my Sharingan, Kakashi disappeared in a burst of speed. Sasuke tried to follow Kakashi's movements with his eyes. But Haku was surprised when Kakashi grabbed onto his leg as he was moving towards another mirror at his usual high speed, preparing to throw more Senbon. Kakashi tried to throw Haku to the ground. Without missing a beat, Haku performed another ice jutsu. Secret jutsu. Ice spikes. Large spikes made of ice pierced up from the ground, aimed at Kakashi, who jumped away. The speed. But I can almost see them now. Sasuke thought. Then he started hand seals for his own jutsu. High release. Great fireball jutsu. The fire just missed Haku, who had sped to Sasuke's left and hit the ice spikes instead. Unlike the mirrors, this ice melted without reforming. Haku then began his one-handed seals again. 1,000 flying water needles of death. This time, Sasuke would not be able to escape by jumping up since that direction was blocked off by ice mirrors. Damn. Kakashi realized that the fake hunter nin was trying to target Sasuke because he knew that Kakashi was a much more difficult fight. Earth release. Earth-style wall. As Kakashi finished the hand seals for his technique, the ground surrounding Sasuke moved up to form a protective wall in all lateral directions. At the same time, Haku stepped into a mirror once more. Outside, several explosions could be heard. Transform. Several shadow clones said while transforming into large fans. Other shadow clones beside them took hold of the fans and began to fan the mist. Unfortunately, this idea didn't quite work out. The mist was not going away at all, probably because it was chakra-induced. More shadow clones were destroyed, this time closer to Naruto than before. Never before had Naruto been so annoyed by his lack of taijutsu ability. If he were more capable in direct close combat, then his clones would not be such easy pickings. Nor would Zabuza be able to use the silent killing technique so efficiently on him. He would definitely improve his taijutsu as soon as he got back to Konoha. But he still had another option in this fight. A large explosion would probably remove the mist. All he had to do was make sure that the explosion didn't kill Zabuza outright or cause the bridge to collapse, which would endanger everybody on the bridge. Therefore, it was logical to let his clones explode higher up in the air. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Naruto said, taking care to add extra chakra to these 4 new clones to maximize the explosive power. The existing clones split into 4 groups and dashed off in a different direction each, followed by a new clone. After positioning themselves, they began to form human pyramids, while the explosive clones climbed up to the top. But before all 4 groups were ready, Zabuza struck at one of them, causing that particular human pyramid to collapse. The clones all dispelled themselves. A moment later, the other pyramids dispelled just as explosive clones at the top jumped up and exploded. This time, Naruto's efforts proved fruitful. The mist was blown away, and he could see again. Zabuza was now around 10 meters in front of him. The ice mirrors were still present in the background, so most likely Kakashi-sensei had been unable to destroy the mirrors and had gotten inside. So you got rid of my mist. In that case, the real fight starts now. Zabuza declared before beginning to perform hand seals. Water release. Violent water wave. From Zabuza's mouth shot out a concentrated stream of water headed right for Naruto. He just barely dodged the attack by strafing to the left. Holding his hands in the cross seal, Naruto said, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. As with before, a large number of shuriken appeared from thin air and flew at Zabuza. That trick again. Water release. Water prison. Zabuza said while doing the hand seals for his technique. A sphere of water not unlike the one he had used before on Kakashi formed around him from the water on the ground. The high density of the water blocked the oncoming shuriken. You won't get me with that technique again. Zabuza then released the water prison and jumped back. He then began an extremely long series of seals. Was that 44 seals? What kind of jutsu is this? Water release. Water dragon bullet. Suddenly a gigantic dragon burst through the surface of bridge. The dragon flew up and then dived back down towards Naruto. Holy! Naruto quickly performed the hand seals for the stone armor, hoping that it would reduce the impact somewhat, even if it was barely functional at the moment. As soon as he felt the earth chakra flow through his body, the massive dragon slammed into him, pummeling him against the ground. The force of the water dragon was so great that it created another hole through the bridge as it hit Naruto and the ground. Naruto! Shouted a mortified Sakura, who had been watching the battle closely before the mist came in and after the mist had been blown away. Kakashi, with Sasuke in his arms, dug up from the ground after using the earth release. Hiding like a mole jutsu to escape the fake Hunter Nin's ice jutsu. Earlier, he had used another earth release jutsu to provide cover over himself and Sasuke in a complete dome and used the opportunity to escape. The two were just in time to see Zabuza, who had his back to them, finish his water dragon bullet jutsu. They could only watch as Naruto was hit by the full force of the technique. Damn. Kakashi cursed while letting Sasuke down from his arms. Did he kill the dead last? Sasuke asked in his mind as he stared at the gaping hole in the bridge. Behind them, the ice mirrors melted. Haku approached them calmly. Zabuza turned around to see the two-leaf nin and Haku who was behind them. His eyebrow rose, or at least it would have if he had eyebrows. Instead only the skin there rose at seeing that Haku's technique was no longer there. You actually managed to escape the jutsu? He questioned incredulously of the leaf nin. He received only glares in response. Well, now that I've taken care of the blonde brat, it's just you and that brat beside you against the two of us. And he looks like he can barely stand, Zabuza said nonchalantly. But on the inside, he was hoping that the blonde brat was still alive. He wondered if he had been a little too excited to fight again. I can still fight, Sasuke seethed. Back beside Tazuna, Sakura was getting really worried about her last teammate. She was glad to see that Kakashi-sensei and Sasuke-kun were alright, but Naruto was the bigger issue now, she admitted reluctantly. She didn't think that she'd be able to survive an attack like the one Naruto had just received. That idiot better not die on us. Inner Sakura exclaimed. However much he annoyed her, he was still her teammate and she hoped dearly that he hadn't really died. Tazuna-san, I'm sorry, I'll have to leave you for a moment, she said to her client. Yeah, okay. She ran to the edge of hole in the bridge where Naruto was blasted through. Nah, Naruto. Are you there? Please say you're okay. She called down. Though she could see all the way down to the water through the meter-thick bridge, Naruto was nowhere in sight. There was no response. Naruto, she called again. Still no response. Naruto, she called once more before tears started to form on her eyes. Naruto, please, I'm sorry for calling you an idiot before and I promise I won't hit you again. Just please be okay. Then she saw an arm reach up and grip onto the inside edge of the hole closest to her. It was then followed by another arm and spikes of blonde hair. Erg. Naruto climbed further up, releasing the chakra on his feet that stuck to the underside of the bridge. He continued to edge upwards, now planting his feet on the same surface as his hands. He paused and gasped for air. Naruto. You're okay. Sakura exclaimed, breaking out into a smile while wiping her wet eyes. Naruto started to speak, but then momentarily lost his concentration on his chakra and started to fall. Ah, idiot. Sakura panicked again, but managed to grab onto Naruto's wrist just in time. Naruto's body dangled from her arm. "Come on, grab onto my arm with your other hand." He then did as ordered. After struggling for what felt like an eternity, Sakura finally managed to hoist Naruto up. She fell back and sat on the ground with her legs folded at the knees, panting slightly. Naruto lay face up on the ground beside her. Thanks," Sakura. Naruto managed to get out while panting, "Chan. He probably wouldn't be able to move for a while." To say that his body was a bit broken up would be a huge understatement. Even with his abnormal healing rate, it would likely take a couple of days to fully recover. At the moment, he was hurting all over. It felt like an elephant had just stomped on him, followed by drowning, which would probably be an accurate analogy for what just happened anyway. When Kakashi and Sasuke saw Naruto get pulled up by Sakura, they both breathed a sigh of relief. Still haven't finished the job. How disappointing, Zabuza. He's finally here. The ninjas all turned to the direction of the voice to see Gato with an army of men. "Gato, what are you doing here? And what's with these men?" Zabuza pretended to be clueless. "The plan has changed," Gato started to explain with a wide smile. "Actually, I planned to do this from the beginning. We're going to kill you here, Zabuza." "What? I never planned on letting you keep the money I paid. Hiring a normal ninja from the villages is expensive and they may betray me. So I get you missing nin who are easy to take care of afterwards. I get the ninja to battle each other and once they're weakened I kill them off with numbers. It doesn't cost me anything. Good plan, don't you think?" "Kakashi, I'm sorry, this fight is over. Now that I have no reason to go after Tazuna, I have no reason to fight you." Kakashi started. Naruto seemed to be alright at the moment, so there really wasn't any reason to continue the fight against Zabuza. "You're right. These numbers," Sasuke trailed off. "And as for you Leaf Ninja, don't even think about fighting back or else we'll kill Tazuna's daughter." Gato clapped his hands, as if in a gesture to some men behind him. He turned around when he heard no response. Suddenly the two men behind him holding Tsunami as well as Tsunami disappeared in puffs of smoke to reveal three Narutos. What? Gato exclaimed while taking a step back, as did his men. But the clones moved too quickly, two grabbing onto Gato's arms, and the third swiftly took out a kunai and jammed it into Gato's heart. "Booga." Gato coughed blood out and twitched before falling still. The clones let the body fall to the ground with a thud. The battlefield went silent. Hey. You just killed our meal ticket." One of the men Gato brought alleged while pointing to Gato's body. "What the hell are we going to do now?" Another added. "You're going to get out of here," one Naruto clone answered calmly. "What? No way. Let's ransack the village." An angry voice shouted. A wave of murmuring agreement ensued. The man in the front took a step forward. Then an arrow hit the ground just in front of them. "Don't you take a step in our village. We'll take you on." A small boy's voice reverberated through the bridge. Inari had brought the whole village with him, armed and ready to fight. "My clones should know what to do." "Alright, Inari. We'll help too," shouted one of the Naruto clones. Then the three clones rapidly went through the hand seals for the regular clone jutsu before shouting, "Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu." There was a huge poof of smoke before suddenly a quarter of the bridge was filled with incorporeal Naruto clones. Good idea, Naruto Kakashi thought when he, who still had his Sharingan eye uncovered, saw the three shadow clones faking the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu, Kakashi style. There was another huge poof of smoke before suddenly the rest of the bridge was filled with a massive army of illusory Kakashi clones. "So you want some of this?" Kakashi drawled. "And no, we don't. Let's get out of here." One of the men shouted in a panicky voice. As soon as he turned and started to run, the rest of the men followed suit. The bridge was once again enveloped in a massive cloud of smoke as all the clones dispelled. "I think I used to hate the clone jutsu for using so little chakra. My super bridge is finally finished. Now it just needs a super name," Tazuna declared. "I know. We should name it the Great Naruto Bridge," Inari suggested. "After that super short blonde kid." "Why? He did give the Land of Waves hope," Tsunami added. "Why can't we name it the Great Tazuna Bridge?" The aged bridge builder grumbled. "Because Naruto Nai is the real hero." Somewhere in Fire Country, the four-leaf nin walked leisurely on the path back to their village. "Hey Naruto. What did it feel like to make your first kill?" Sakura inquired. I didn't really like it, but that Gato bastard completely deserved it," Naruto answered. "Do you feel any stronger?" Sasuke asked. "What? Why would I?" Naruto responded incredulously. Sasuke grunted. He was both annoyed and glad at the same time for not being the first to make a kill. Annoyed because Naruto did it before him, and glad because he wasn't sure how he'd feel about killing. Would he end up becoming an insane murderer like Itachi? No, he couldn't think like that. He would definitely not be like Itachi. There was a long period of silence after that. So Kakashi started to speak, breaking the silence. "Sasuke, was that your first time activating the Sharingan?" "What?" Sasuke asked, surprised. You had your Sharingan on when we were fighting that fake hunter Nin. Didn't you notice? I did. Why don't you try and channel some chakra to your eyes? Kakashi suggested. Sasuke did as he was told. To his surprise, he could feel his Sharingan activate. You already have 2 Tomo in one of your Sharingan, Kakashi commented. Wow, you have the Sharingan too, Sasuke. That's so cool. Sakura chirped. Land of whirlpools. So, what's the plan? No brows. Zabuza glared at the Naruto clone. First, we find out if you're worth anything to me. Then, if you are capable of learning some helpful sealing techniques, you'll need to master them. While you do that, we're going to do some serious training. Since my coup d'etat failed, some bloodline users have formed a faction to fight against the 4th ninja. I know some of the leaders of this group. We're going to join up with them when they're ready to start fighting. And they can't know about my affiliation with Konoha. Actually, I don't really want knowledge of my participation in the civil war spreading around, the Naruto clone decided. He then reached up to his leaf headband and took it off. It poofed into smoke in his hands. Don't worry about that. Just dye your hair red and we'll introduce you as the last Uzumaki. Your first name will be a secret to everybody but me and the leader of the group, Zabuza assured. You sound like you're very familiar with this leader, Naruto commented. I am. She was helping me secretly during my previous coup d'etat, Zabuza explained. She? A master of both the boil and lava release. Of course she would fight for the bloodline clans. How long until we're there? We have nearly arrived, Naruto-san, Haku pointed to the island-like shape in the distance. The 3 ninja continued to paddle their boat. Konoha, Hokage's office. Welcome back, Jiraiya. Hey, sensei. Here's my latest book. Jiraiya tossed over a copy of the 2nd book in the Icha series to the 3rd Hokage. So, where's the brat? Ah, thank you Jiraiya, the aged Hokage graciously accepted the book. Then he said, Naruto-kun is on a mission in Wave Country right now. He should be back in a couple of days. The land of waves. My spy network told me that Gatu of the shipping company was killed 2 days ago while he was in Wave. Something about a great Naruto bridge being named after the hero who defeated the evil shipping magnate, Jiraiya informed his former sensei with a huge grin. Oh, is that so? Naruto-kun has always been one to surprise. In a soft voice, Jiraiya asked, does he know? About the fox? Yes, he found out about it during his little escapade. No, I haven't told him yet. Did you assign to be his Jounin sensei? Kakashi. I assigned him Itachi's little brother too. Was that really a good idea? Neither of them have families. Perhaps they will be able to find a kindred spirit in each other. And besides, Kakashi-kun's the only one who can teach Sasuke-kun how to use the Sharingan. And lazy as he is, he would give me all sorts of headaches if Naruto didn't get a sensei he deemed proper. He knows about Naruto's parents. I'm not too sure, but he can probably see the family resemblance easily. Well then, I'm off to do some research. If you need me sensei, you know where to find me. Ruins of Yuzushio, this is it. This is the village hidden in the whirling tides, or what's left of it anyway. Naruto looked around. The place wasn't particularly impressive. Then again, most of it was in ruins, so that should have been expected. He could see that a lot of the structures had that swirl symbol on it and many were even built in circular shapes. There were only a few structures that remained standing. Lead the way. As they walked through the debris, Naruto noticed that there were no bodies to be seen. What happened to all the villagers that were here when the village was destroyed? How should I know? They were probably buried somewhere by surviving villagers. I thought you said the clan was supposed to be extinct, Naruto pointed out. The village isn't just the clan, you know. Mind you, it's possible that some descendants have survived and have scattered across the continent. Nobody really knows what happened to them, but they haven't shown their face since the village's destruction, so they're assumed to be all dead. At this, Naruto felt a slight flicker of hope. Though it quickly died down when he reasoned that he'd probably never find any relatives if they weren't using the Uzumaki name. Over there, Zabuza said while pointing to a round structure that seemed to be relatively untouched. Actually, now that Naruto looked closely, the structure there appeared not to have been damaged at all. Wow, it's not in ruins. Like I told you, it's completely sealed off. There's probably a very powerful barrier protecting it. Not even my decapitating carving knife could make a mark on the walls. Maybe civilians would have been able to use it to hide during the attacks. They stood in front of the doors. As Abusa said, there were seals covering the entire structure, which was seemingly centered at the middle of the left door of the entrance. And here goes nothing, Naruto said before rolling up his sleeve and unsealing the vial of blood. He poured out a small drop onto his finger. Then he touched it to the apparent center of the seal. For a moment, it seemed as though nothing happened. Gee. Looks like you're not really an Uzumaki after all. No, wait, do you not hear that? It's opening. And so, the doors did slowly grind open. The 3 ninja walked in. This is just an empty room, Zabuza remarked. No, look at the huge seal on the ground. And over there are more seals. I think we have to do something with those seals, and this big seal on the ground will then do something else. Suddenly the door behind them shut with a loud bang. The ninjas turned around, being surprised. The walls seemed to glow with light, allowing the three ninjas to see. There were several lines of text on the doors. It says, "May your blood clear the passage through another world," Naruto read. Another world, huh? Could it be a reverse summoning? That would explain why this room looks empty. What about the next lines? It says, "Let not your eyes taint your vision, but let your chakra show the truth." What does that mean? What are we supposed to do? Zabuza asked. Naruto silently contemplated for a moment. He held his hands in the cross seal for a moment. In this moment, he had created and dispelled a shadow clone in order to communicate with the original. Let us think on this for a bit. Go ahead, Zabuza answered before sitting down against a wall. It seems to be saying that there's a reverse summoning seal somewhere in this room and I'd have to find it with my chakras somehow. Then these visible seals might be fake or traps. But is that really it? That doesn't make any sense. Using my chakra to find the seals. But then that would just activate the seals. If there are traps here, then doing that would be stupid. Naruto turned and examined the rest of the room. Why is the wall glowing? Could the light be a way to trick us? He went back to the door. He closed his eyes and touched the text, channeling chakra to his palm and fingers, feeling the text. There's nothing here, it's just a smooth surface, so why can I see the text? Why can we see the text? The more Naruto thought about it, the more it seemed to be a genjutsu of some sort. Then new memories reached the Naruto clone. That's right. I've been thinking about this too much. This isn't some sort of riddle for me to solve. If this place was already here in the time of the Uzumaki, then it doesn't make any sense for them to put a riddle here. No, most likely, this isn't even a genjutsu. It's just a message created from seals. If the Uzumaki were masters of the sealing art, then it must be assumed that anyone that came inside this room would be able to decipher and use the seals on the ground. This text then is therefore a message. Or maybe it's a motto. Like Konoha's "May your will of fire burn strongly." Sort of thing. That makes more sense since it's on the back of the door, of all places. Yeah, I think I know what to do, Naruto said out loud. This here is definitely some sort of reverse summoning seal. The seals beside it are probably what's making the walls glow. I don't recognize those seals, but I've seen summoning seals before and the big one has some similarities with them, he explained to Zabuza. Now what? If this is a reverse summoning, then you won't be able to come with me because it'll summon whoever provides the blood and chakra and most likely it can only be in Uzumaki anyway. In that case, I'll leave behind another clone that will last for around 5 hours. That way, you can communicate with me while I'm gone. If I can't come back from wherever it is, got it? The Naruto clone proceeded to make another clone just as he said. He still had more than enough chakra to last several more days. Although it had been nearly a week since he was first created, his chakra reserves had been recharged because of the fight on the bridge. The boss had made a large number of clones fighting against Zabuza in the thick mist. I'll be going now, Naruto informed Zabuza and Haku before taking out the vial of blood again and dropping some blood on the big seal on the ground. I wonder if clones can actually be summoned like this. I hope this works. If it does, I'll definitely have to look into making use of summoned clones in the future. The Naruto clone then touched the seal and applied chakra. Immediately, he felt a compressing sensation and saw smoke all around him. When it cleared, he was in another dim room. Judging by the shape of the rock around him, it was probably an underground chamber. Again, this room was rather limited in size. However, what immediately caught Naruto's eyes were three things. 1. The wall had a drawing carved in. It depicted the symbol of the Senju clan alongside the symbol of the Uzumaki clan. He remembered the symbol of the Senju clan from his studies in the academy. 2. On the ground was what looked like a journal of some sort and a scroll. 3. Just behind the scroll and journal was a stone statue of a toad. Unknown land, secret Senju Uzumaki room. Over 2 hours had passed since Naruto had arrived in the room. He had been completely absorbed in the task of reading the journal he found. When he at last reached the end, he stared at the stone toad statue. It was shock, sadness, and pride all mixed together. So much had been revealed in that journal that he could never have even begun to imagine. Such was the impossibility of his legacy. He had descended from the first ninja to walk the land, the sage of 6 paths. When he encountered the journal and the scroll, he had immediately gone to the scroll because finding a seal technique that would be helpful to Zabuza was a more pressing matter. But when he opened the scroll, he found that there were 3 simple storage seals which each held a scroll within. They were labeled as such. Legacy of the Sage of 6 Paths, Uzumaki, and Techniques to Defeat Madara. He was interested first in the techniques to defeat Madara, but somehow, the legacy of Sage of 6 Paths drew him to it instead. There was this strange feeling that he should read that first, and so he did. When he did so, the text seemed like a ridiculous myth. He skimmed it over quickly and found that it contained the story of the 10-tailed beast and how the Sage of Six Paths sealed it into the moon, splitting its chakra into the 9-tailed beasts of today. There was also this strange explanation of the Rinnegan which the Sage of Six Paths possessed and the true nature of chakra, or so it claimed. Everything in it seemed so far detached from contemporary ninja world that he couldn't really believe it, so he stopped reading it. He would give it more attention when he had the time. Instead, he began reading the journal. It could perhaps give him insight as to who left this behind and for what purpose. But now, after emerging from his stupor at the end of the journal, he almost felt scared of this Madara Uchiha person the journal was talking about. Apparently, the writer of the journal whose name Naruto never found on the journal was an Uzumaki whom Madara approached. He had offered to give the author of the journal the legendary Rinnegan if he would help Madara in his plans. He had accepted. Eventually the author realized how evil Madara was and decided that he had to defeat him. But Madara appeared so powerful that not even acquiring the Rinnegan would help him to defeat the man. As a result, he abandoned Madara and didn't attempt to acquire the Rinnegan because the one step involved could potentially cause war between the leaf and the whirling tides. The Uzumaki was too ashamed to tell anyone else of his relationship with Madara because he had already done some unspeakable crimes and so resolved to become strong enough to defeat Madara. He came to the conclusion that the only way was to acquire a power that even Madara did not have access to, a power achieved through hard work and not only bloodlines and such. This was something called Sage Arts, which was apparently a power fueled by Sage Chakra, which consisted of normal Yin and Yang Chakra mixed with Nature Chakra. To the Uzumakis, Nature Chakra was also known by another name, Blood Yang. This piece of information was actually also in the other scroll Naruto read, Legacy of the Sage. Apparently, the key to the Sage Arts was learning to be dead normally. All humans possess only normal Yin and Yang Chakra, which is supposed to be the energy of life. However, there also exists a second type of chakra in nature, which the Uzumakis called Blood Yin and Blood Yang. This is a chakra that cannot be accessed without first dying or becoming fully in sync with nature. The basis of the Sage Arts was learning to manipulate Blood Yang in the body freely. The interesting part of all this was that the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan apparently both had a natural connection to Blood Yang. This was because this chakra could also be passed down through the generations, similar to a bloodline. However, what was passed down only circulated within the blood and not the chakra circuit. This was because blood cells are dead when they mature, so they could carry such chakra, hence the name given to them. But in this state, the chakra cannot be used for jutsu because all chakra requires both yin and yang natures, which the Senju and Uzumaki lacked because did not have access to blood yin. Over time, some of the characteristics of the chakra seeped through to the normal chakra system. Originally, the two sons of the Sage of Six Paths were each given blood yin and blood yang. The elder brother, who also received the eyes of the sage, carried the blood yin, which was fueled by intense emotion and spirituality. Thus, the Uchiha clan ended up developing techniques capable of controlling other living things forcibly through strong willpower, as well as their affinity to fire, which had a symbolic connection to rage and intense desire. On the other hand, the younger brother who received the chakra of the sage went on to found the Senju clan. Since their chakra was already powerful, the vitality of Blood Yang eventually caused them to manifest very strongly any traits they already possessed, such as extreme affinities to a particular nature. When the Senju clan split with the Uzumaki clan had gained the basic characteristic of Blood Yang, which was vitality. They thus became known as the clan of longevity, living unnaturally long lifespans. Through experimentation, it was found that Blood Yang could be harnessed and mixed with normal chakra to produce Sage Chakra through a perfect emulation of death. It was necessary to be in a death-like state of complete non-movement and synchronization with nature when drawing the chakra into the system. Once in the system, this chakra could be controlled and mixed with normal chakra to produce Sage Chakra. If there is not enough control when mixing the chakra, however, the unrefined Blood Yang would begin to take over the normal chakra and force its characteristics on anything it touched. The result? Turning into a stone statue, because living things are not supposed to be able to contain Blood Yang. The Uzumaki's natural connection to Blood Yang did not help them. Only one person succeeded, and he gained such immense strength that he could lift mountain, gained jutsu capable of destroying a mountain, and gained a body so strong it couldn't be crushed by a mountain. Every other person that attempted it failed and became a statue. For this reason, all attempts to harness the energy were stopped, and it was deemed a forbidden jutsu never to be spoken of again. In desperation, this Uzumaki decided to try it to gain the power necessary to match Madara, and his eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, which the Uzumaki wrote, had probably come as a result of manipulating Blood Yin, somehow, but he did not know. However much the Uzumaki needed it, he too failed, and the toad statue in the room was proof of that. How powerful could Madara be that only this kind of power could match him? The thought was scary. And there was no guarantee that it would actually match him. According to the journal, Madara hadn't lost to Hashirama Senju as the legend goes, but instead manipulated the first Hokage into a fight in order to gain access to his powers, somehow. Naruto shuddered to think what such a person would be capable of doing to the world. But then he realized that if Madara was supposed to be one of the founders of Konoha as the journal claimed, then he was certain to be dead by now. Thinking about this, he then remembered the reason he was interested in the techniques to defeat Madara's scroll. He needed to find sealing techniques and report to Zabuza. Maybe I should check out the Uzumaki scroll first. Madara's a person anyway, so that scroll probably won't have what I'm looking for. Opening the Uzumaki scroll this time, he realized that it had no techniques in it whatsoever. It was just a history of the clan, which he would have to peruse at some later time. Damn, I guess that means I won't be learning any Uzumaki techniques. As he sealed the Uzumaki scroll back in and unsealed the final scroll, he resisted the feeling of pall that crept up. Certainly, he had already discovered incredible things today. But if he couldn't find any useful sealing techniques, there was a good chance that Zabuza would refuse to teach him anything. And again, according to the journal, Madara was once capable of summoning the Nine Tails before he was defeated and Mito Uzumaki sealed it within herself. So, there was still hope. Naruto read the list of techniques quickly. It was quite short, probably because there wasn't really any way to actually counter Madara. He was practically invincible. The very last technique on the list caught his eye. It was meant as a countermeasure for when Madara reacquired and summoned the Nine Tails. Called the Four Symbols Seal, it was apparently most likely to be the same technique used by Mito Uzumaki to seal the Nine Tails in herself, being a slight modification from an original Uzumaki seal. With the same even nature, Naruto couldn't quite understand what that meant, but if the Hidden Mist continued to use the same seal provided to them by the Uzumaki long ago, then it could very well be the seal this one was based off of. Thus, a good understanding of this seal would provide Naruto with the first step toward finding the means of taking down the fourth Mizukage. That would have to do for now. After all, there wasn't any other remotely helpful technique. Thinking that he should finish examining the legacy of the sage and the Uzumaki scrolls, the Naruto clone created a new clone with enough chakra to last for a few more hours and left it to its task. Then the first clone looked at the seal on the ground that looked very similar to the one he saw in the room he came from. Izushio, sealed room. So, any luck? Said Zabuza while glaring at the Naruto clone that returned. Yes. I think I know what your Mizukage's seal is. That means I should be able to find weaknesses and potentially prevent him from using the Three Tails chakra. I'll need to thoroughly study seals though, but this is pretty big. In other words, you don't have a technique that can stop him, right? Hey, I just told you, this is a big step forward. I might not have a technique ready right now, but I'm sure I'll come up with something now that I know what seal the fourth has on him, assuming your claim that the Hidden Mist still uses the same seal the Uzumaki gave them is correct. Have you actually seen it before? Can you tell me what it looked like? I can only give a vague description. It was circular with 4 lines outside, or something like that, Zabuza responded. Perfect. I'm almost certain that it's the one I just learned about, the Naruto clone replied happily. TCH, let's get going then. Is there anywhere you need to go to help you find the technique you need? Zabuza asked while motioning towards the door. No. I'll have to learn more about seals by myself or from my current Jounin sensei. The boss will take care of that. What does the rebellion's time frame look like? Naruto said as he pushed open the door. It will be over a year before the rebels have enough power to seriously consider attempting a full rebellion. The group of 3 slowly walked towards the way they came to the room, to the island coast. Hey, you said before that you needed money to finance the rebel forces. With Gato dead, why didn't you just take money from his bank account? Naruto asked curiously. He knew that Gato was extremely rich. If it were that easy, then how do you think Gato managed to stay alive for so long? Ninja don't mess with the banking system because it's critical to allow the ninja system to function in the first place. If you assassinate someone rich and take his money, then for a Nukenin, your bounty will skyrocket to become probably the biggest in the bingo book because the daimyo will see you as a threat to his country's core military and economic power. Oh, I never thought of that. So that means our other goal besides training should be to acquire more money just like before, right? How should we do that? Seeing as working for hire didn't work well, the only choice is bounty hunting. Just as they reached the boat they arrived on, Naruto spoke out. Hold on, if we're going to go bounty hunting, that means we'll have to fight, which means I might get dispelled. You still haven't taught me any defensive jutsu yet, so why don't we train right here? There's plenty of water, and Hunter Nin won't be able to find us here, right? Zabuza turned around and looked at the Naruto clone for a moment before saying, fine, I did agree to train you. Konoha, where will I find someone to teach me to jutsu? I can't ask too much of Kakashi, since I need to learn sealing from him. Naruto walked aimlessly around Konoha while planning his future actions. After the C-rank turned A-rank mission, Team 7 was given a short day off. As such, Naruto was left with nothing to do since Shikamaru would be on missions and it would be difficult to train Taijutsu by himself. He took this time to simply think while walking around, letting his clones train his stone armor jutsu and water walking, combined with a leaf concentration exercise. The trip with Zabuza to the whirling tides had proven far more valuable than he had ever imagined. Assuming the veracity of the stuff written in the legacy of the Sage Scroll, he could potentially become incredibly powerful if he played his cards right. The one problem was that even if he could acquire the legendary Rinnegan by following the instructions on the scroll, there was no way to know how to use it. There hadn't been an explanation of what the Jujutsu could actually do. Thus, he would have to relegate its acquisition to a low priority. Thus, his main priorities at the moment consisted of the following. Becoming better at Taijutsu to raise the effectiveness of his clones, figuring out a way to exploit the 4-symbol seal for Zabuza after learning advanced sealing techniques, mastering the stone armor jutsu, and lastly getting ready for the Chunin exams that would probably be in a month or so. After that A-rank mission, Kakashi was very likely to nominate Team 7 for the exams. Naruto knew that there were often spectators during the exams, including Kage from foreign countries. This would be the best time to reveal his true personality and skills, as that would be necessary at some point if he wanted to be Hokage. And what better time than when all sorts of important figures would be watching. He would have to become a lot stronger and also get some new clothes more fitting of his soon-to-be Hokage image. He would need a custom design that prominently featured the Uzumaki clan symbol and Konoha's motto of the Will of Fire. Just then, a perverted giggle drew Naruto out of his thoughts. He looked to his left to see a really long white-haired man with a huge scroll on his back peeping through a hole in the women's bathhouse. This guy is even more daring than Kakashi-sensei. Peeping where anybody walking by could see him. "Hey, what are you doing?" Naruto called out to him. The man turned around and looked at the newcomer. His face had red markings and his forehead held a protector that displayed the character for oil. "Oil? What village is that? Go away, brat. Can't you see I'm busy here?" The man proceeded to continue peeping and giggling. "Hey, don't you ignore me. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the future Hokage of the Hidden Leaf." Naruto's eye twitched as there was no indication that the man even heard Naruto. "Alright, that's it, I won't let some foreign ninja peep on the women of the Hidden Leaf." Naruto ran towards the man preparing to punch him. Suddenly, just before Naruto reached him, there was a big puff of smoke and a giant toad appeared with the man sitting on top of it. The toad's tongue reached out and grabbed Naruto before flinging him a few meters away. "Man, keep quiet, kid, what you gonna do if I get caught?" Naruto got up and wiped the dirt off his mouth. "Who are you and what's with that huge frog?" "Alright, hold on. Thanks for asking. I'm Mount Myabokugama's Holy Master Sage, also known as the Toad Sage, remember it?" The man declared while doing a bunch of awkward poses in sync with the toad. "Toad Sage, and what were you doing?" "This is my work. I'm a writer, working on a new novel," came the response, just as the self-proclaimed Toad Sage jumped off the toad and started walking towards Naruto. He then pulled out a book from inside his clothes and showed it to Naruto. The title was Come Come Paradise. Naruto's jaw dropped as he thought of the orange book Kakashi always read in public. "Ah. That is. Oh. You know about this?" the man asked with a wide grin. "It's getting pretty famous," he thought. "Yeah, it's that nasty book," Naruto exclaimed while pointing at said book. The man looked miffed. Naruto then continued, "Anyways, what do you mean by work? You were just peeping into the women's bath, you pervert. You fool. I am not just a pervert. Peeping gives me inspiration to write better." "You liar. What a lame excuse. You're just a lame pervert." "No, it's not true. I'm not just a pervert. I am," the man started. "Yeah, then what are you?" "A super pervert." "Damn, this guy is totally crazy. How did he become a Sannin?" "TCH. I can't believe Jiraiya of the Sannin is really this kind of person," Naruto commented. "Oh? You already knew who I was, then?" "I realized who you were after you pulled out that perverted book." "Alright, what do you want, kid?" I didn't really need an if that's it. If you're one of the Sannin, you've gotta be really strong, right? Can you train me and teach me how to use seals?" "Train you? Why should I? That Come Come Paradise is so cool." "Liar, this book is only for adults. Compliments will get you nowhere with me." "Then how about," Naruto said before forming a hand sign. "Sexy jutsu. I like you." "He's an idiot." "Wow, just my type of girl. What's this jutsu, huh?" "Oh, I call it sexy jutsu," but Naruto in his transformed state said. "OOHH, what creativity. You're a genius. Then you'll help me with me training," Naruto said cutely. "Yes. But there's a condition." "Condition? What?" "In my presence you must always be like that." Naruto transformed back. "No way. How am I supposed to train like that?" "Well, that's the condition, kid. Don't you want training from the legendary Jiraiya?" "Oh come on. You should be dying to train somebody with the same name as the main character of your book." "Huh? You wrote the tale of the utterly gutsy ninja book, didn't you? The one whose main character's name is Naruto. Well, I'm Naruto too. You could be overseeing the real-life development of a character just like your main character. You read that book? Yeah. So come on. Just train me. Destiny is practically stripping in front of you. Destiny, Jiraiya said with a thoughtful expression on his face. Very well, then. You got yourself a new sensei, kid. That's right, Warily. Don't look a gift toad in the mouth, kid. We'll begin immediately. Why don't you show me all your skills first? Jiraiya motioned toward the toad behind him. Here, hop on. We'll go somewhere suitable for training. Naruto looked dumbfounded. Wow. He's really going to train me. Yeah, alright. Come at me with everything you've got, Jiraiya instructed. In other words, I have to prove I'm worth being trained by a Sannin. Naruto then dispelled all the clones currently training in the Hidden Leaf Village. They were currently in a small forest clearing and Jiraiya had dispelled his giant toad. He created 5 shadow clones. All of them, and the original, ran through the hand seals required for the stone armor jutsu. Then, they moved out and surrounded Jiraiya in a large circle, with the original staying outside. Then the clones rushed towards Jiraiya. As the clones threw punches, Jiraiya grabbed one arm and swung the clone he held around to defeat all the clones. What, is this a brawl? You don't even have any taijutsu form. Thus, the real Naruto rushed towards Jiraiya, preparing to use the basic taijutsu taught in the academy. Of course, naturally Jiraiya punched Naruto away after dodging a few hits. It appeared that Naruto's stone armor was completely useless. It had practically no effects on either him or his clones thus far. As Naruto got up, he pulled out 4 shuriken and threw all of them at Jiraiya. 2 embedded themselves in a tree behind Jiraiya after being dodged. 1 was knocked aside to the ground and Jiraiya caught the last one. Is that all you got? Man, I'd be ashamed to teach somebody this weak, Jiraiya taunted while twirling the shuriken on his finger. Shut up, you haven't seen anything yet, came the response from Naruto. He then created 4 more clones and again surrounded Jiraiya. Again. Each clone then took out 5 shuriken and threw it at Jiraiya, who simply jumped up to avoid all of them. As he was falling down, the real Naruto threw in a smoke bomb before rushing in, along with the 5 clones. As Jiraiya hadn't sensed any attacks, he simply waited in the smoke in a ready stance until it cleared. He wondered what the point of that was. When it did clear, it revealed 5 Narutos surrounding Jiraiya in a tight circle. 1 Naruto rushed forward with a kunai towards Jiraiya's back, while 2 grabbed the Narutos beside them and flung them at Jiraiya before jumping away from the circle. Then 2 clones of Jiraiya popped into existence beside him and each Jiraiya defeated 1 approaching Naruto. As soon as the 3 Naruto clones were defeated and puffed into smoke, the 2 remaining Narutos, one positioned in front of Jiraiya and the other behind, each threw a kunai at Jiraiya. This is getting B. Jiraiya was cut off when the 2 Narutos held the cross seal and the 2 kunai turned into 2000. His eyes widened slightly before he formed several hand signs in quick succession. The Jiraiya clones puffed out of existence as they were hit by countless kunai, while the real Jiraiya was covered from head to toe in a massive amount of spiky white hair. Needle Jizo, he declared. Not bad, to think you know 2 A-rank jutsu already, as a genin. I'm not done yet, Naruto's voice spoke from outside the clearing. Suddenly, several Naruto clones retransformed from being shuriken kunai on the ground and yelled, detonate. Thus, the clearing was engulfed in an explosion created from several exploding clones exploding at once. Now that I'm using clones instead of the exploding tags I used with Kakashi, it should be too fast for him prepare a replacement jutsu in time. Still, even though I used a huge amount of chakra to produce that gigantic explosion with multiple clones, a Sannin should be able to survive somehow. Naruto jumped out from a nearby tree and inspected his handiwork. There was now a crater a bit bigger than the original clearing. Jiraiya, however, was nowhere to be seen. Then Jiraiya poofed into existence at the center of the crater. His clothes were partially gone and revealed some skin that had minor burn marks on them. He had a huge grin on his face. Damn, I wasn't expecting you to have so much chakra left after using all those clones. And you almost got me there, a lesser ninja would surely have been killed. I can proudly say you will be a great apprentice, Jiraiya said while wiping the dirt off his now torn clothes and walking towards Naruto. If you don't mind me asking, how did you manage to get out of that explosion just now? I reverse summoned myself into a toad's stomach. It's meant to take my opponent with me as an offensive jutsu, but it works for tight situations like that one as well. I'll teach it to you eventually, after you get familiar with the toad summons. A reverse summoning. I've never heard of that before. Wait, did you just say what I think you said? About the toad summons? Naruto was astonished, as the toad sage had just implied that he would let Naruto sign the toad summoning contract. That's right, kid. If you're going to be the apprentice of the fabulous sage of Mount Myaboku, you'll need to be able to summon toads, eventually. But not now. You still have 2 missions with your team every day, don't you? Learning to summon toads effectively will take a lot of time and chakra, which you don't have, since you still need to take missions with your team every day. That's okay, I can just use my clones to train. I already use my clones for training every day while I'm on missions. That won't do, not for summoning. You need to use up some blood each time to perform a summoning, so you can't practice with your clones in large quantities. Speaking of which, how many clones can you make and how long do they last for? You used an impressive number of clones in our little battle just now. Well, for training, if I want them to last for a few hours while doing basic chakra control exercises that I usually ask them to do, I can make about 100 safely. But I recover chakra really fast, so after a few hours and a meal I should be back to about full again. Jiraiya's eyes widened. 100 clones, all using chakra for training, and they last for a few hours. That's unbelievable. When did you start this training? Your chakra control must be incredible by now. I started after I learned the technique, which was right when I graduated. At first, when I made 100 clones to train with, they didn't last for even an hour, before I had to make them again. But yeah, my chakra control has become way better, so they can last for almost 4 hours. Now, I can really take advantage of my sleep time. They don't disappear when you go to sleep. Jiraiya was surprised. The level of subconscious control required to maintain the jutsu even during sleep was something that only a veteran and frequent user of the technique should be capable of. Yeah. Are they supposed to? Naruto wondered. No, not if you're highly skilled and maintain them subconsciously. This is the perfect training method for you. With the amount of chakra you have, you'll master new techniques in no time. That reminds me, have you ever felt another chakra? Besides the one you normally have? Jiraiya inquired. Naruto thought for a moment. He had never felt anything like that. Although, he had a good idea what Jiraiya was getting at. You're talking about the Nine Tails chakra, right? No, I've never felt it before at all. Never. He'll have to learn to use it at some point, maybe when I teach him summoning, Jiraiya thought to himself. Am I supposed to? Hold on, lift up your shirt so I can see your belly. Okay. There was nothing there, so Jiraiya asked him to build up chakra. Then the black markings appeared, revealing the seals that the fourth used to seal the Nine Tails. So this is the 9 tails seal method. 2-4 elephant seals a double seal, maybe the 8 trigram seal method. It's set up so some sort of chakra slips out from between the elephant seals and combines with the kid's chakra. It's to protect this kid, right? The fourth. Jiraiya thought as he closely examined the seal on Naruto's abdomen. So the seal shows up only when I use chakra, huh? No wonder I never noticed it before. As Jiraiya got up again, he continued to think. So he's receiving chakra all the time, which explains his incredible chakra recovery rate and reserves. But the strength of the seal means that he won't feel it unless he learns to actively call on the Nine Tails chakra, or the chakra forcibly kicks in during times of danger so that the Nine Tails can save itself. One day, you might need to use that power, the power of the Nine Tails. But for now, it seems that you've been strong enough to get by without it, Jiraiya declared. I won't use it at all if I can help it. Using such demonic and evil chakra, there'll be side effects, won't there? Naruto shot back. Probably. But for now, you won't have to worry about it. Though, let me know if you ever feel it or if anything weird happens with your seal. You're smart enough to tell when something's wrong. Jiraiya looked at the sky. It was going to be dark in an hour or so. Alright, it's getting late. Let's meet near the bathhouses again in the morning every day, at 6. That gives us an hour before most teams start their missions, which will be enough for me to teach you something, even though it's a very short time, and you can practice with your clones until the next day. Don't worry about that. Kaka-sensei always shows up 3 hours late, at 10 o'clock, so we'll have nearly 4 hours. I'll send a clone every day to wait just in case though. And if I get another C-rank mission, I'll leave a message for you at the women's bathhouse. Alright, but before you go, let me teach you a new technique. I want to see how fast you can learn. Oh, sure. Naruto replied enthusiastically. He was going to be taught a new technique by a Sannin. Although, it probably wouldn't be particularly powerful since he's still just testing him. First, tell me what techniques you already know. Naruto thought for a moment, then responded, well, actually I basically showed you everything I knew in that battle, besides the standard academy jutsus and body flicker. I actually don't know any techniques other than Shadow Clone, Shuriken Shadow Clone, and the Exploding Clone. And the Exploding Clone isn't really a ninjutsu, it's basically just a normal Shadow Clone with explosive seals that I create from chakra during the Shadow Clone technique. He invented his own explosive clones with seals. That's pretty impressive for a genin. Looks like I have another genius on my hands, Jiraiya thought to himself. Then he noticed the peculiarity. Wait, all you know is 3 rank jutsu. And all of them are based off of the Shadow Clone. The Shuriken Shadow Clone jutsu I came up with myself as well. So, he invented not 1, but 2 techniques already, both A rank. And to think he came up with the same jutsu the professor invented, Jiraiya remarked in his mind. Naruto continued, I only really learned the shadow clone jutsu. Kakashi-sensei hasn't taught me or my teammates any techniques. Then Naruto remembered his incomplete technique. No, wait, he did teach me this one technique, the stone armor jutsu, but it's still incomplete. I tried using it earlier against you, but it didn't do anything. Stone armor, that's a hidden rock technique that uses chakra flow, if I remember correctly from the third ninja war. Do you have an earth affinity? Jiraiya asked curiously. He had been expecting Naruto to be a wind type like his father, or a water type like his mother. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. I couldn't feel earth chakra at all when I started, and I can barely feel it even now. I never tested myself for my affinity. Then what the heck did Kakashi tell you to do? How are you supposed to learn a chakra flow based elemental jutsu without the affinity for it? Jiraiya's face looked thoroughly scandalized. Naruto was taken aback by the outburst, responding, he did say that a chakra flow type jutsu would be more difficult without the affinity, but he also said that it should be possible to learn these techniques regardless, and that practice with it would develop the affinity. He didn't teach me how to develop the affinity through training, because it would be better to develop my primary affinity first. Jiraiya's face twitched. And he's supposed to be a genius. Listen, kid, I don't know where Kakashi got that stupid idea from, but any chakra flow type jutsus will require the user to have the elemental affinity for it. Actually, he probably thought you didn't need the affinity, because by the time he copied it, he probably already developed the earth chakra affinity after copying countless other earth jutsus, unwittingly. Frankly, I'm surprised you can feel any earth chakra at all. He paused for a moment before continuing, let me explain to you how chakra and jutsus are created. There are 2 steps to creating a jutsu. These are shape transformation and nature transformation. Shape transformation involves directly molding the chakra and giving it shape, like this. He then proceeded to hold his right hand palm up and chakra visibly swirled and condensed into a blue ball. Whoa. The chakra is visible. Yes, this is called the Rasengan, it's one of the 4th Hokage's techniques. It's also the pinnacle of shape transformation, an A-rank jutsu whose power comes solely from shape transformation and nothing else. But most jutsu don't work that way. They usually also involve a degree of nature transformation. Here's where it gets a little tricky. The key behind nature transformation is that it uses your chakra to produce something different. When normal chakra is transformed into one of the 5 main elements, it takes on additional characteristics. For example, earth chakra is hard. They have other characteristics too besides the obvious, but that's not really important for now. You'll understand as you master an affinity. These additional characteristics are critical when you're trying to produce an effect. I'll use an obvious example to show you what I mean, water chakra. Tell me, what do you remember about the second Hokage's most famous abilities? Naruto thought back to the academy's history lessons that he had memorized completely. He was a master of the water element, capable of drawing immense amounts of water from the air and even filling the lakes around Konoha with his jutsu. That's right. Most water users need to actually have water around them to be effective in battle. But the second did not. As you said, he could simply produce enormous amounts of water from the air. This is the effect of an extremely high water affinity. In theory, it should be possible even for those without a water affinity to manipulate water by using normal chakra if they practice long enough. But to produce water, you will either need a water affinity or you'll have to practice with manipulating water with normal chakra for many years until you develop enough of an affinity to do it. This is the fundamental rule of nature transformation. You can manipulate existing elements with pure normal chakra, but you need elemental chakra to produce the element or to imbue it with certain characteristics. Don't bother wasting your chakra trying to learn the stone armor anymore, Jiraiya finished his long explanation. But I really want to learn the jutsu. It'll multiply my combat ability with my clones. Naruto whined. Well, if you want it that badly, I'll show you the earth chakra training tomorrow. Don't get your hopes up though. Normally it takes years to master an affinity. Most ninja only ever master 2 in their lifetimes, some 3. Anyways, I promised you a new technique. We don't have much time, but this one should be easy. Jiraiya then let out a perverted giggle, and quite useful, I might add. Izushio ruins. You're finally getting the hang of it, brat. At this rate, you'll be able to use it in battle in a few months, the silent killing technique. In a few weeks, you should be good enough to stay out of harm's way at least, when I'm fighting a bounty. I won't even take that long. I haven't started using my special training method yet, the Naruto clone responded while watching another blindfolded Naruto clone dodge a simple punch from Zabuza, who was making no effort to be silent yet. He couldn't risk himself in the training, or else he might be dispelled on a failed attempt to dodge. Special training method? Haku asked from beside him. It's a secret. All you need to know is that I'll improve a lot faster than you think once I get my real self to use it. That's right, although I would have preferred a real defensive technique tch. I guess I can't blame the Demon of the Mist for not needing to have defensive jutsu. Naruto lay in bed, slightly tired after doing some intensive physical exercise. He would have to buy weights at some point to raise the effectiveness of his physical training regimen. As he stared up at the ceiling, he went through the events of the day in his mind, trying to see if there was anything interesting or useful that he missed before. Finding nothing, he closed his eyes. The image of the beautiful spinning ball of chakra in Jiraiya's palm came to him. Chakra so powerful it's visible. The only other time I've seen something like that was. His eyes flew open. The only other time he'd seen visible chakra, and in fact also held in the palm, was when Kakashi-sensei charged up his lightning cutter on the incomplete bridge in Wave. That must be the combination of shape and nature transformation incredible. Tomorrow, I'll have 3 teachers teaching me, or at least, supposed to be teaching me. Naruto closed his eyes again while smirking. I can't wait. Uchiha ruins. We are getting out of here. Now. What's the rush? Are we really so desperate for money? The Naruto clone asked. I am sick of eating fish, Zabuza responded. Besides, you improved even faster than I expected. Your ability to move silently and without signal is reaching almost Jounin level now. You should be capable of using the silent killing technique in combat now, though you won't have any mist helping you. But since I'm taking care of that during battles for now, it doesn't matter. The speed at which you've learned is incredible, Naruto-san. Your special training method must be very effective, Haku remarked. Of course. Anyways, let's get going then. Konoha, that's it for today. I'm off to do some more research. Jiraiya said while walking towards a brand new peephole. He's perverted, but he sure knows a lot of stuff. As Naruto jumped away towards Team 7's usual meeting spot, he reflected on his training in the past month. As Jiraiya promised, he taught Naruto the method for training Earth Chakra affinity, which to Naruto's surprise, had nothing to do with trying to stay still. He had given Naruto a leaf and told him to use his chakra to make it hard enough that if he waved the leaf around, the leaf would not bend due to the force of the air. It had been several days of clone-enhanced training before Naruto had felt any difference in the leaf. Strangely enough, this new Earth Chakra actually felt different from the Earth Chakra that he had felt before, from his own training. But it didn't really matter, so he paid it no attention. He had only completed the task the day before. The affinity training wasn't over though, apparently, as there was another step before it was mastered. But when he tried to do the stone armor jutsu earlier, it finally succeeded this time. Upon testing, he discovered that most thrown objects such as shuriken no longer had any effect on him, as they simply bounced off. It was still possible to cut or damage him with melee attacks, though the effect was significantly reduced. It would probably become even stronger as he used the technique more. What he loved most about the technique was that he only had to activate it once, and it would stay until he dispelled it or it was overcome by force. Another major development during his training with Jiraiya was related to chakra control. He had discovered about a week after returning from the wave mission that his chakra control was no longer improving. It appeared that his chakra control was so well developed that the basic 3 exercises could no longer improve it. When he asked Jiraiya about what he could do to further develop his control, Jiraiya suggested that he try to expel chakra from various points around his body, increasing the number of points as he progressed, and then try to expel the chakra as far as possible. This proved far more difficult than the 3 basic exercises. But the most important development of all was Naruto's sealing techniques training. Jiraiya had only started to teach him the basics of seals a few days ago, but it appeared that Naruto was a natural at it, grasping the concepts very quickly. This wasn't something that he could train with clones, so that was a huge relief for Naruto. The one thing that was possible to train regarding seals was the use of chakra to produce seals on demand and imprinting it on an object or opponent rather than having to prepare it beforehand. Jiraiya had shown Naruto this technique that he said seal masters used, but he hadn't taught Naruto any seal techniques yet. For now, Naruto could only practice with explosive seals, but this was already quite significant. Once he mastered it, it would be that much easier to deal with the 4th Mizukage. There was also an insignificant but cool way to use it. He would be able to engrave markings or writing on objects with just his chakra and leave messages that way. But still I have to become cage level in about a year's time if I want to actually defeat the Mizukage. Am I improving fast enough? As he neared the training ground 3, he saw his clone and 2 teammates waiting around. He snuck in with his new almost Jounin level sneakiness thanks to his silent killing training and performed a replacement jutsu on his clone before sending it away. Teamwork seems to be suffering lately, Kakashi thought to himself as Team 7 walked in the streets of Konoha after completing another mission. Sasuke was brooding as usual, while Naruto was unusually quiet. The date was June 29, after all, and Naruto had been growing anxious as of late. He didn't know how the Chunin exam nominations worked, and that was the root of his concern. He knew that Chunin exams generally happen twice a year, which meant that 2 days later, July 1, should be the start of the next Chunin exam. Yet, he had heard nothing from Kakashi, not even a mention of the exams. Did he actually not nominate us? If so, how can I get him to do so? You're pretty quiet today, dead last. Is your pea-sized brain thinking about something? Sasuke asked Naruto. Yeah, about how you always try to make me look bad. Naruto accused. If you don't want to look bad then just get stronger than me, Sasuke answered. I already am, Naruto shot back. Yeah, right, Sasuke said sarcastically. You wouldn't last 5 minutes against me. You wouldn't last 5 seconds against me, Naruto claimed. HMPF. The two turned their faces away from each other and crossed their arms. They're somehow worse than before, Sakura thought gloomily. And Naruto always seems like he's thinking about something else ever since the wave mission. Damn it. There are tons of guys stronger than me out there, Sasuke thought while thinking of Haku. Yet I have to do these stupid missions. Kakashi then noticed a peculiar bird in the sky. He realized that it meant that he was being called to a meeting of Jounin Sensei to nominate the teams for the Chunin exams. Okay, that's it for today. I have to go submit this mission report, Kakashi told the team. Then I'm going home, Sasuke said as he walked off. Hey, Sasuke-kun, wait, Sakura called out. Sasuke turned around and looked at her. Sakura continued, how about right now we work on our teamwork, just the two of us? Naruto's face crunched. If you have time to bother me, practice a jutsu or two, Sasuke responded. Frankly, your ability is below either me or Naruto. Then he walked off again. Sakura looked down on the ground. He's right, in every mission, I do the least. Then Kakashi's body flickered away. How we're alone now. Forget about him. If you would like, we could train together, Sakura, Naruto said in a serious demeanor. Without turning around, Sakura's face looked annoyed for a moment. Then she realized, he called me by just my name this time. Then just before she turned around to answer, Naruto noticed the moving rectangular prism behind him. Lose the box, Konohamaru. It looks nothing like a rock, Naruto said as he turned around to face the box with 2 eye holes in it. Suddenly 3 kids came out from under the rock. They were Konohamaru, Yuden and Mogi. They also happened to be wearing goggles that looked suspiciously like the goggles Naruto used to wear on his forehead. What's with the goggles? Naruto asked. We're copying the old you. What do you mean by You're so cold lately, bro. Konohamaru yelled while pointing at Naruto. So what do you want? Then Mogi spoke up, boss, are you free? Naruto thought for a moment. It was still early in the day and he could be training his muscles, which was a big priority. It had been a month since he started his own training regimen, complete with the 4 limbs weighting SEAL1 that Jiraiya had provided him with. Well, not that the weighting seal was actually that big of a deal. Generally, most ninja could enhance speed and strength with chakra, which Naruto did easily thanks to his excellent chakra control. But there were 2 key advantages to building up muscle mass conventionally. The first was that this enhanced his general stamina, increasing the physical portion of his energy pool. It would also benefit him spiritually because intense exercise generally induces greater alertness and mental capability. This would result in a greater chakra reserve, which would have a multiplier effect on his training because he could then use his greater reserves to make more clones for training. The other advantage was related to sneakiness. The more chakra he used, the more easily detectable he would be to enemy ninja. He thought back to the first technique Jiraiya taught him on the day they met. Flashback, Jiraiya did some hand seals slowly as Naruto memorized it and then promptly disappeared. A few confused moments later, Naruto felt something touching his shoulder. Jiraiya reappeared in front of him with his hand on Naruto's shoulder. This is called the transparent escape jutsu and I invented it myself. With this, you can easily peep into the women's bathhouse without being noticed. What? I would never do that. Naruto responded, his face outraged. Be proud you're learning this technique, kid. This is a technique that only 2 cage level ninjas in the world know. Myself and the 3rd Hokage. And you're about to be the 3rd, Jiraiya gloated. Well, I guess it might be useful. And thank you for your confidence that I'll soon be the 3rd cage level ninja to know this technique. Naruto grinned. When combined with the silent killing technique, it could be a deadly combination, even without the hidden miss technique. It would be even more useful if he could prevent the opponent from sensing any of his chakra. But getting back to the issue at hand, Naruto realized that it really didn't matter. He could simply make a shadow clone to do whatever the trio asked of him. No, but I can be in 2 places at the same time, so it's fine, Naruto responded to Mogi's question. He then made a shadow clone. The clone? But that thing is just an illusion. Konohamaru complained. Then, here's another lesson from your boss. Clones can be solid. And this one in particular is actually intelligent too. He's identical to me in every way, Naruto explained. Wow. That's so cool. Konohamaru said with stars in his eyes. Alright. Let's play ninja then. Why would a ninja play ninja? Sakura said with a dark expression. The three academy students turned to look at her. Hey, bro, who's this girl? Konohamaru asked while pointing at Sakura. She's staring at bro like she wants to eat him alive. Then a light bulb went off his head. Not bad, bro, she's your this, Konohamaru said while showing his pinky finger, a gesture that indicated girlfriend. Sakura's expression went from shock to anger. Not quite, but close. She's a valuable teammate and a full-fledged ninja, unlike you three, Naruto responded carefully, trying to skillfully defuse the situation with a subtle compliment. Unfortunately, Sakura was too caught up with the previous remark by Konohamaru to pay close attention. How dare you? Sakura exclaimed while punching one of the two Narutos currently present. It flew into a nearby fence before bursting into smoke. Bro. No, boss, don't die. Konohamaru yelled as he tried to run forward to help. Calm down, it's just a clone, Naruto said from beside Konohamaru just as he grabbed his scarf, preventing him from running forward. You ugly bitch. Konohamaru said while facing Sakura. Sakura fumed while inner Sakura raged. Stupid kid. She charged at Konohamaru and hit him on the head before walking off angrily. Damn, it that ugly huge foreheaded, is that really a girl? Seriously, bro. Sakura heard this and turned around, charging at the Naruto and Konohamaru's group. AHH. The three kids screamed. Naruto's body flickered away while the three academy students ran for their lives. Having unintentionally closed his eyes from being scared, Konohamaru bumped into something. Ouch. That hurt, said a guy with a black baggy full bodysuit with a red and yellow circle on the front. He carried some sort of thing wrapped in bandages on his back, only showing some hair. His forehead protector was the symbol of an Hercules. Beside him stood a blonde girl who carried what appeared to be a giant fan on her back. Her hair was gathered into 4 ponytails and she wore her headband around her neck, also showing the sand Hercules symbol. That hurt, you little piece of shit. The fully suited guy said while grabbing Konohamaru up by his scarf in the same manner one would normally grab somebody's shirt under the collar area if there hadn't been a scarf there. Don't, we'll get yelled at later, the blonde girl warned. I'm sorry, I was just messing around, Sakura said in a small voice while looking down at the ground. Who are these people? The guy in the black bodysuit noticed her and the headband on her head. Who looks like a leaf genin. Let's play a little before the boss comes, the guy said while shaking Konohamaru. Konohamaru-chan. Mogi yelled. Konohamaru-kun. Yuden yelled. Let go of me. Konohamaru said and grit his teeth. How annoying. Basically, I hate midgets, especially younger ones that are rude, makes me want to kill them. Sakura thought with a shocked face. Oh well, I'm not involved, the girl with 4 ponytails muttered. What's with that guy? This is bad, these are foreign ninjas, judging by their headband, Sakura thought. Then the guy pulled his left arm back and prepared to punch Konohamaru. Suddenly a rock hit his arm and he dropped Konohamaru. He looked up to see another leaf ninja sitting on a tree, throwing up and down another rock. What are you bastards doing in our village? Sasuke demanded. Sasuke-kun. Sakura shouted. The guy with the bodysuit gave him a dark look. The blonde girl thought he was pretty handsome and blushed. Another guy who pisses me off, muttered the guy while adjusting his gloves. Konohamaru ran back to Mogi and Yuden. That lost. Sasuke told him. Hiya. So cool. Get him, Sasuke-kun. Sakura said with hearts in her eyes. Hey, punk, get down here. I hate show-offs like you the most, the guy in the black bodysuit said while pulling the thing from his back. Hey, you even going to use Karasu? The girl asked from behind him. So is this supposed to be a declaration of war from Suna? A voice asked from nowhere. What the hell? Did they find out? Thought the two ninja from the hidden sand. Suddenly Naruto appeared from thin air holding a kunai to the antagonizing ninja's throat. All onlookers were shocked. You dare to attack Konohamaru, the grandson of the ruling Hokage, in his own village. If this isn't a declaration of war, one might kill you anyways for this assassination attempt, Naruto threatened while releasing as much killing intent as he could muster, which really wasn't much as he hadn't practiced that. Way to go, boss. I knew you had my back. Konohamaru yelled with stars in his eyes again. So cool. Wow, even Naruto can be cool when he's serious, but I couldn't do anything. Can I even call myself a ninja? Sakura thought, ashamed of herself. Then she remembered what Naruto said of her earlier. He called me valuable teammate and a full-fledged ninja. Does he really think so? What the hell? When did he learn that technique? And that was Jounin level sneakiness. I didn't sense him at all until he appeared. Sasuke thought angrily. Tenkuro, stop it. You're an embarrassment to our village, said a voice from behind Sasuke. Everybody turned to see another ninja standing upside down on a branch of the tree Sasuke was sitting on. The newcomer had some sort of character marked on his forehead and carried a huge gourd on his back. What? When did he Jounin level sneakiness again, Sasuke thought. Losing yourself in a fight, how pathetic. Why do you think we came to the Leaf Village? The upside down ninja asked in a low and dangerous voice. Listen, Gaara, they started it and Kankuro tried to explain. Shut up, I'll kill you. Oh okay, I'm sorry, Kankuro apologized while holding up his hands. I'm also sorry, really sorry, the girl said beside him. So he's this group's leader, he has strange eyes, Sasuke thought. Naruto put his kunai back into his weapons pouch. These two seem really scared of that guy. Sorry to you guys, Gaara said while looking at Sasuke. To be able to hit Kankuro with a stone, he's good. Before looking at Naruto, and this one he could have killed Kankuro if he wanted to. Mother will enjoy his blood. Then a flurry of sand engulfed him and he reappeared beside Kankuro, the blonde girl, and Naruto. It looks like we got here too early, but we didn't come here to play around. I know that, Kankuro spluttered. Let's go, he said before turning around. Hey, wait. Sakura shouted. What? Judging from your forehead protectors, you guys are ninjas from the Hidden Sand Village, right? You may be allies with a leaf, but it is forbidden for shinobis to enter each other's villages without permission. State your purpose. Depending on it, we may not be able to let you go, Sakura explained. Ah, talk about clueless, don't you know anything? See my pass. The blonde girl responded with a smirk. You're right, we are Genins from the Hidden Sand. We have come to your village to take the Chunin selection exam. So I was right. It is starting soon, damn it Kakashi, you'd better have entered us into the exams. Then Sasuke reappeared in a burst of speed beside Naruto. Hey, you, what's your name? Huh? You mean me? The blonde girl responded with a faint blush on her cheeks. No. You with the gourd. The blonde girl looked miffed. Gaara of the desert, came the reply. I'm also interested in you, your name? It's Uchiha Sasuke answered with a slight smirk. And you, with the spiky hair. Your name? Gaara further asked. It's Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage of this village. Remember it well, Gaara, Naruto answered with a grin. Gaara nodded before saying, let's go. Then the three sand ninjas' body flickered away. This is getting interesting, Sasuke thought. So, what do you think? Asked a ninja who wore a headband with a musical note as the symbol. His shirt had the character for death written on it. He was one of three ninjas, all wearing the same headband, who had been observing the proceedings earlier with the sand and leaf genins from a nearby tree. Two of them were male, and one was female. The one with bandages wrapped around his face, who was also the only one sitting on the tree branch the other two were standing on, replied, well, nothing serious, but that black-haired leaf, the yellow-haired leaf, and the sand with the gourd, let's keep our eyes on them. You sound pretty confident, said a voice from above them. They recognized it as the voice of the yellow-haired leaf nin from earlier. They looked up to see said leaf nin standing sideways on the tree. What village are you from? I don't recognize that symbol. Is it a new village? Naruto had never seen the musical note as a symbol anywhere before, and he was pretty sure he memorized the symbols of every village. He had detected them earlier, probably thanks to his training with silent killing that allowed him to feel such presences with only slight movements. Sound. We might be new, but we're not weak. So, we'll see you in the exams, then? The bandaged one asked. Maybe. I'm only a rookie, so who knows? Naruto said before poofing into smoke. The three sound ninja looked surprised. If this was a rookie of Konoha, then what were their experienced genin capable of?